Welcome back, everyone, to the North American Challenger Circuit qualifiers. 2 more sets remain today, and 2 more teams will be making it into the SCC. After this, we'll have at least one of those 2, and of course 1 more set to try and figure that out between the last 2 teams. My name is Gormizer. Joining me on the desk is Trelly, and this is going to be a fun one. Leoncitos, we got to watch a little bit earlier today. They're going to be going up against the Great Gentlemen, who've also gone through a pretty lengthy lower bracket run to try and get themselves here. And it just makes things all that much more fun trying to know. I mean, not only is it an elim game, but on top of that, it has that added pressure of being able to go to the SCC. All you have to do is win just 2 games, 2 Smite games.
Yeah, at this point, it's so close that they can both taste it. I mean, there's no more losing you're out or win you have to play on. Right now, it's do or die at this point. So both teams are going to have to bring everything they have here. They have both had a long trip ahead of them. It's been a long journey to go through that losers bracket, but we've seen them both. They can both compete here. It's gonna be a nice game.
It's wild that they still have so much. You can look at the schedule here, as we've seen a lot of these teams come through. Leoncitos a 2-1 over the neighborhood earlier, and of course the Jazzy Jaguars that you just watched. They're going to be going up against the Funhavers later. But Great Gentlemen get to make their showcase here. A loss to the Vamps earlier this week that we watched. And, of course, then having to make their way to the same portion of the bracket, just on a different path, a difficult path to get here. But they've got a lot of good names on this team. You can see exactly how they ended up getting over here. My Fault B and HOTM, which, if I remember correctly, stood for Hands Off the Merchandise. So a 2-1 got dicey for them there in the losers round 1, but they managed to maintain their status and move forward. But Leoncitos is the first team we're going to be looking at right here. And Trelly, we got to watch them earlier. They took a little bit to get warmed up, but once they got into the game and once they got things under control, they looked really solid.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They had this big name recognition, as Mifflin was talking about just a little bit earlier. 3 players that have at least some point touched the SPL, which is a pretty solid thing to have on your SCC roster. Obviously, El Leon and the veteran shot caller as well. These are the things that you're looking for to really stand yourself apart from the competition. And they've been playing quite well. Like you said, it takes a little bit to get online, obviously dropping game 1. But once they did, they looked very solid.
Yeah, and being able to turn things around. I kept mentioning it, but like Delny in this set is a phenomenal Amaterasu, so he being able to step up and kind of match that pace. Leon had a slower first game on the Dodge G, but transitioned into a beautiful Bastet. Snoopy, I think I called it the Snoopidus. So I felt so confident earlier when I was able to say it, and now it feels like it's I had Charybdis' name right in front of me, though. It just felt like everything kind of just sunk together for them. Spreen had a good couple of games as well. I mean, you know, name recognition aside, they really hit that level of play that you expect from a team with this much competitive experience.
Yeah, you'd expect them to be able to come online a little bit earlier, but maybe it's just a little shaking off the rust. As I've mentioned a few times, I think Hurry Wind is still transitioning into that support role. Remember, he was playing mid last season, but he is coming along quite nicely. Once he gets his bearings down, I think he'll be a very solid support. If he does end up making it into the SCC, we have yet to figure out, and we're going to see if they are able to do that. But with just a little bit of practice, I think that'll be pretty solid for him.
Well, the team they're going to be going up against is the Great Gentlemen. We've watched them a lot. We were calling them GG last week, and of course we got to see them unfortunately fall down into the losers bracket again. 5 games that they managed to play, 4 wins got them here. And they're coming in with an interesting roster. We've seen a lot. Monster Bomber, Hydrogen come to my mind immediately. Snatty, of course, has a lot of competitive experience. But it has been Sata Dragon, I think, to keep your eyes on. Tripno as well, this mid-jungle combo that has caused a lot of fun. And they're playing things that are out there. I mean, we just saw it, but like the Kali game that has come through, a couple of Persephones. They've gone for Ardio a few times. They're definitely able to flex around whatever they want.
Yeah, it seems like Sata Dragon likes these auto-attack-eccentric jungles that can hard carry late game. The Kali, as you mentioned, Nemesis, even Gilgamesh, has a good mix of abilities and auto-attacks mixed into the kit well. So late game just popping up, being able to shred and trip. No, I think this meta really does suit his style of playstyle. Obviously, the Persephones of the world, he plays the Thoth as well. Those type of picks are going to be very benefiting of the meta right now. He plays them very well.
And being able to flex around, I think, as your carries has been a big deal. I didn't think we were going to see 2 Chiron highlights, but realistically we managed to get them because Leoncitos played it earlier today. I think it was played against them earlier today. So that is a good correction that I catch out of myself. But then Great Gentlemen being able to bring that one forward also makes it look interesting. Just from this week, some of the gods they played, like the Chiron has been interesting, but it's got a good KDA. We'll see if they go the way of the Chiron here in picks and bans for game number 1. And there's, again, a lot on the line for these teams. 2 wins, and you just get to go forward into the SEC. Maybe not relax a little bit, but at least for the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to take a deep breath once the set is over and feel confident in your capabilities to move forward.
I definitely think that's the track both of these teams are looking for right now. A quick 2-0, you get to relax, say, hey, we fought our way through all of this, and we're going to be able to perform in the SEC. A sigh of relief, and then getting into the action. But here, you look just as puzzled as I do about the Zeus ban. I picked that we haven't seen prioritized too highly, more of like a second or third pick in your mid lane if the others get banned away. There's a lot of things you could have prioritized there, but looks to me like they just want to say, let's get rid of that. We don't want to deal with it, and the Kali as well. So these guys on Leoncitos definitely have done their homework.
Yeah, it feels even funnier when because we were talking about how this fits. We've seen a lot of Persephone. Thoth is a big deal, and right now, both still available. We'll see what Great Gentleman ban out. The Bastet, the Surcat, and 2 assassins, you'd maybe think, oh, jungle. Bastet solo jungle, and then Surcat jungle support ban. So, like, you're getting 2 roles with each. Probably feels pretty good. But the Bastet seems to have at least fallen down a little bit, a teensy bit, in comparison to where she was. And I say that just because Leoncitos picked her up like 9th earlier today, and it blew my mind that she made it that far down. The Fenrir gets banned out as well. Again, another support jungle. And then the Amaterasu. So Bologna's still available and has been like a top pick for the solo lane. But there's a lot of options at this point.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to prioritize that Kabrakan, a very strong flex pick. We saw El Leon on it, playing it in the jungle a little bit ago, but we've also seen it in 3 different roles at this point.
Yes.
I'm never convinced.
This week.
Yeah, I'm never convinced where the Kabrakan's going to end up at until I see it locked in. Obviously, trying to just prioritize this Chiron Hydrogen really feels strong on this pick. It's a very safe god. With the Centaurus, you can sort of redel your death a little bit until you're able to get a kill, and then you can revive yourself in that regard. And Bacchus, so very prioritizing this duo lane for Great Gentlemen, and I think that's the right way to go about this.
It is interesting to see them go, I think, this heavy-handed into the Chiron early, because it feels like one, like you said, it's a very good pick for Great Gentlemen. But also, is anybody going to be taking your Chiron away? Like, are you really that worried about it? I guess, like, before the second ban phase, so if you're going to get a top three it. Bacchus has been very popular. Speaking of popular, Persephone and Charybdis have been very popular just all around, but specifically, I think it was like a 9-1 performance. I want to say 9-1-6, but I'm not sure if my memory is as great to get all 3 numbers right. But I know it was an absolutely insane performance from Leoncitos with this Persephone, and Snoopy has loved this Charybdis. But we get the Thoth on the other side. It feels like the mid matchup is going to be fun.
I think right now, duo lane on Great Gentlemen are feeling pretty strong. A lot of pressure from this Bacchus pick. Again, Hydrogen very comfortable on the Chiron. And then as we were just mentioning, Tripno loves this Thoth. Into Persephone, you outrange her pretty heavily unless the Grasping Death comes into play. So I think in the mid matchup specifically, unless Leon's going to have to pick a very high-pressure jungle to deal with this, unless that is the Kabrakan. Of course, we still don't know. They're flexing it at the moment. So that Thoth could be just sitting pretty in the backline unless some high pressure is drafted from Leoncitos.
And we'll have to see if they can get back there. It's a Gilgamesh tier ban on the side of Leoncitos, which leads to a Chalk pickup, and we can touch on that in a second. It is the Fafnir and the Daji banned out on the other side. Chalk! This isn't the first set. He was banned in set number 1 up against Leoncitos. He was picked in set 2, and now he's getting played again. How do you feel about the Chalk?
I mean, he was also getting played in the EU SEC yesterday. It seems right now that big Storm Call ultimate, the big AoE damage, he's also very safe. You constantly have to be guessing if he's going to teleport to his axe or not. So Chalk seems to be kind of falling up into the meta, rising up into the meta, not falling. He is in favor right now. So it seems right now very valuing that team fight ultimate, that big AoE presence, as well as the Mercury is going to be, I'm assuming, has to go to El Leon, right, in the jungle. We haven't really seen Merc anywhere besides the jungle. So
Hurrywin trying the weirdest thing in the world. It's Mercury support, and no one knows what to do against it.
But I'm seeing Osiris, Chalk. So one of those picks definitely having to go in the jungle here. No one else really could fill that role. If it's up to me, I'm thinking Osiris jungle has not been played in a while, but it's definitely the way you want to go. The Chalk jungles, the Chungle has been coming out a bit, but
to the point where it does, like, that is a name, like, that's not you making it up, that's not me making it up. It has been called that seriously before. We'll have to see if it works out here. I'm excited to see what they have here in game number 1. We figure out where they're going. It has to be Mercury jungle, or at least I feel like it has to be Mercury jungle. And that's the interesting thing. You were talking about it specifically, and I guess Osiris actually fits into this pretty well as well. But the fact that Oh my god, Sata Dragon, there he is. I was like, it's not Hydrogen, it's not Monster Bomber, it's not Snatty, it's the other one, starts with an S. Sata Dragon has been playing these auto attackers, and he is going for the Osiris. It feels like it kind of fits in with that style of play. But we haven't seen it in a hot minute, and I wonder if there's a reason why for that.
Yeah, we definitely saw when the Mannequin Scepter start was when it's in favor. Obviously, Osiris is a hard carry god early, where his auto attacks are just insane. No one really wants to outbox him, but then late game he sort of gets outdamaged, especially by a pick like Mercury, where if you're not ahead of him, I don't think you're ever winning that box trade, assuming it's a 1v1 in the jungle. So you pick it for early pressure. You have that auto attack damage if you need it, and it looks like Sad Dragon really just says, hey, I need a jungler with auto attacks because that's what I like to play. That's his style right now. It fits the meta a little bit, and it's working out in his favor thus far. So he said, you know what, they banned away my Kali. I'm gonna fall back on this Osiris pick.
I will admit, part of me really wanted the jungle. I was like, you know, I saw it flash on screen, and I was like, I know it's not going to be, but what if, right? It'd be a fun world. Probably, I'm going to be honest, doesn't have a better matchup into the Mercury anyway, so it's not like that makes a big difference. And you had asked for someone who can get to the backline specifically to sit on this Thoth, and then the last two, one of those is a Sun Wukong who can, you know, theoretically get to the backline pretty often. But Mercury, with his ult, should be able to close the gap on a Tripno pretty often.
Yeah, if I'm El Leon, I'm probably waiting till level 5, then charging up that Sonic Boom behind tower and ulting mid lane whenever possible. Right now, there's no way Snoopy's able to juke this right there, level 2, but Monster Bomber did not tick over, unfortunately, so looks like he is going to take the long way and just be fine in lane here.
That's another good knockup. They're putting the damage into Heroine. Good stun. And Hurry did get that too early on. I was actually having this conversation earlier with JMac, but like, that's the best time to try and kill Charybdis. She doesn't have her 3. No Whirlpool? Let's get her. And I think we saw that during the SBL qualifiers. There was a team that sent their Ama over there with teleport. So she teleported back to the lane after they get the first blood. But they waited for the Charybdis in lane and then just essentially did an in-lane gank for it.
Oh, look at this in duo, though. They are starving them of XP as El Leon looks to get Tripno's beads here. They are not getting anything. Snoopy will not tick over to level 2 unless he gets close to those minions. This is the benefit of that start they did where Hydrogen was able to split the red buff with Tripno, putting his Soth a little bit behind. But now you hit 2 in lane so freely, and now Snoopy is pretty far behind. Still has not ticked over to level 2, so El Leon's going to have to make the rotation over just to guarantee that this man can farm.
And I like it. He pokes his head. There is a red ward, so he walked right past where Great Gentleman could see him, and also, consequently, where they could see him leave. But they recognize, you know what, I don't know if we want to get into it with the Mercury just yet. We'll try to keep it slow. Mercury plus Cabrakan early on. Yeah, that does seem like a terrifying prospect to go up against. But that's the problem. You know, you look at this Mercury, and I mentioned this with Kali. She can start to fight a little bit earlier, but we don't see it as much, whereas over here, all of a sudden, it is a different conversation. Mercury, you know, he can technically fight early on, but, like, you're usually not seeing it until late.
No, you definitely don't want to force fights unless one gets kind of plopped in your lap at this point, but I have to draw some attention because I've been harping on this so much as Hurrywin goes in just appeal for his ADC here. Monster Bomber did pick up the beads on Bacchus. I keep talking about how right now if you have no sort of CC immunity on a Guardian, you are going to be the first target in all these fights, and it's nice to have a bead so that you're not just immediately dead and you can't help your squad. Shouts out to Monster Bomber, finally making my point across. Hopefully it works out for him at this point because I've been talking about it so much with these Kepris getting picked and these Cabrakans just being the first target in all of these team fights this week.
It's something to, yeah. I'm concerned, I think, towards the end of this, if Monster Bomber is getting continuously poked out. And it is, I think, the blink over there for Heroine, so a little more aggression let's come through. And it's always this weird conversation, though, because, like, blink is a good initiator. Beads, like you had mentioned, is, like, necessary for survival for Monster Bomber. But then that level 12 question comes up as to, like, okay, well, so now what are you getting for the team, though? Like, what is the overarching, like, how are you going to help them? And with auto attackers, I don't know, I'm starting to think about that shell a little bit more often. I'm starting to think about Horrific Emblem. Maybe they're thinking about a little bit more. Heroine gets knocked back. Hydrogen takes a lot of damage, though, and goes into the ult. Still alive. Needs one more shot, one more kill. No! It's not enough damage. Hurry lives just barely. and Hydrogen goes down for first blood to Snoopy.
That was a beautiful play by Great Gentleman just to make sure that they could get that aggression, but unfortunately the Centaurus just did not have enough damage. Kabrakan very tanky with that built-in passive, and El Leon doing exactly what I said. Not in the mid lane though, looking at Snatty.
And should be able to hit him. I think was actually just off the mark there. So doesn't get the lockdown,
no.
misses the dash as well. The autos are going to be just fine, though. They find the CC from Heed, and the lockdown is good. Snatty taken away, and that should give a nice, comfortable lead to the Wukong.
Yeah, Snatty, I think if he has beads there, probably fine. No sort of teleport available. Does have the blink. That's what he opted to go for right now on the Chalk solo. So, although the Sonic Boom didn't need to connect, the grab didn't need to connect, they had enough damage there. He chained his stun quite well with Leon's damage. So, just a solid gank executed. I think they're going to have to make sure they hit those next time because, I mean, Snatty's only going to get tankier at this point. But hey, a solid lead, answering for 2-0 lead right now for Leoncitos.
And it's been a while since we've seen Mercury, and I feel like the last time he was like super meta was...
Why did Snoopy just... Oh, I'm sorry, I had to just puzzle myself because there's no one around. There was literally no one around.
Look, sometimes the purple buff deserves it, you know? Like, you just gotta beat it up, show it who's boss, make sure it's in its place. That's a lot of CC immunity he's going to be missing. That actually is a big deal to not have the ult.
I would say so. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see how it goes for him overall. Sorry, Snoopy, we caught that one on camera. That's gonna be one of those like awkward. He just accidentally fat fingered his ult while trying to go for his whirlpool. I can't even think of why he'd want a whirlpool there. Either way, I guess we'll see if it ends up coming back to bite him. He's already got a fourth of it back. But the golden katana that gets picked up here, at least for the Mercury, I feel like we went through this like phase where if you locked in Mercury, your first item was like you immediately went Rage, then you went Deathbringer, and then you kind of figure out the rest of it. But this is pretty solid just for like farming in the jungle and actually playing, I think, Mercury like in this meta.
Yeah, El Leon knows how to play the map very effectively. I think right now he hasn't been prioritizing the ganks despite the fact that we just saw him pick up one on Snatty. It seems like he just wants to power farm as nice as possible. He's going for the Rage second item, it looks like. So he's trying to get a lead in the jungle, make sure he's able to farm these camps effectively with the Golden Bow AoE procs. Or Golden Blade, sorry, Golden Bow is the old name for that item.
Now, if you want to talk about Golden Bow, though,
get
some crit online super early.
No one wants to talk about Golden Bow. Remember when it was ADC meta?
Yeah, and Mercury was like Mercury almost always got played as a carry because
oh yeah,
it was so free.
So I think right now he's just trying to make sure he's farming effectively, being able to kill all these camps very quickly, and then he'll go into this late game sort of hyper carry style with the Rage being stacked. I have to assume that's his plan right now.
I think you can tell which side of the Golden Bow I was on. Like, I was the one using it, not the one playing against it as often, because I was positively reminiscing about it.
Nope.
You were not, and I think most people still have nightmares about that. But yeah, no, just being able to farm up, I think watching him and keeping an eye on that build is going to be a big deal. I know Mifflin, I think it was yesterday, there was a Mercury being played. It might have been 2 days ago, that had just rushed the crit as hard as he could, and then it didn't really matter because he was never auto-attacking. Like, he was almost always using abilities, and like his ult connects on 3, but you barely see the health bars move. Yeah. And I think this helps kind of balance that out, at least early on for Leon.
Yeah, we saw the Sonic Booms come through and then just dash out. This time, Leon goes for another gank on Snatty. Sonic Boom off the mark, did not hit the stun, so the Chalk is going to live another day, not even have to use the ultimate to immune it at this point. So he'd going to be taking a lot of damage. Transcendence opting to be the start for Snatty here. This is a build that we've seen on Chalk sort of rise into power. He just powerfully clears the wave, pokes you out whenever he wants, does that much damage as you just saw there, and then he can just heal up with his rain.
And walk away happily at that. And you have to think about the healing, because like Wukong technically has some, but it's contingent on his ult, right? And he's getting aggressive blink from Snatty to create some gaps. He'd had his if he'd wanted to chase. Probably could have gone a little further. Sentry ward thrown out. Gonna even shout it out. It was a tier monster sentry ward there. I think that Hurry one just dropped. Now the stuns are there. I like it when the 3v3 start, the mid camps are there, and like you can tell they kind of both want to fight, but they don't want to commit too heavily, especially with Thoth, who's shooting a lot of damage from the back line. So they fall back, but I don't know if this is a fight they can take. Hurry wants to get aggressive again. Ult is available for him. There's going to be a good stun from Monster Bomber. Just off the mark with the final judgment. Damage is still good on the Heroine, and there's going to be the lockdown. The walls are there. The shots from the mid lane are on the other side. Just too much. Tripno making sure to get their name out there That forces the fallback from Leoncitos.
Yeah, I think anytime you're taking this 3v3 fight, you cannot focus these tanky targets in front of you. I count Dragon as a tanky target right now because Osiris, of course, is a warrior and he is going to have that natural bulk. But Thoth just does way too much damage right now. Trying to step up into him is not going to work. Of course, the final judgment, a little bit off the mark there. Maybe was expecting some sort of setup, but Snoopy might be getting aggressed towards over in this duo lane.
Yeah, he has to play carefully. We just saw the Whirlpool on cooldown. Still has beats, and that should be back. Yeah, he's going to be able to use that immediately. And that's, I mean, sometimes it's that easy, huh? He makes it look good. There's the entire Sonic Boom chase down for Hydrogen. The dash was good. The beads are better. But there's a brilliant shot. Not quite the connection that they wanted from Spreen, but it's still enough to lock down a little bit of damage back there. A huge rotation for Leoncitos, but nothing that they're going to have to show for it. Beads are down. And Monster Bomber did drop his ult. That's about all they got out of this one.
I have not seen Sada Dragon get active pretty much anywhere. Going for some invades here, some camps there, but not really look to kill anyone just yet, which is surprising because to me, this is the point of the game where Osiris can sort of walk at Mercury and not really have to worry about the damage he can dish out. But right now, looking like no one from Leoncitos is that close. They don't seem to be picking up on this. I don't think Spreen's going to walk over, so this might just be a free Gold Fury.
As of right now, it's fine. Spreen. Oh no, he's checking mid camps. He's going a little further, and he's too late for that one. That moment where it connects. Like, wait a minute, I haven't seen Thoth in a little while. Where'd everybody go? And they unfortunately go looking a little bit too late. Good early Gold Fury from Great Gentleman. Blows my mind though that just brings the game back to even in terms of the gold. It was that much of a lead for Leoncitos. Now they're going to start up the Order team. The Pyromancer here, so they're going to keep the control at least a little bit in their favor, pull some of that gold lead back, and try to take a chunk of the experience Great Gentleman just got away.
Yeah, if you're Leoncitos, I can't really imagine that went unnoticed. I mean, think about all the players on this team that have been playing Smite for so long, and you guys didn't notice 3 members of the map just not on. I think they probably realized, like, hey, we all backed at the wrong time. Unfortunate, they do have the damage for this, so we're going to have to let it go. Spreen was close enough, but maybe just didn't want to face tank any sort of damage from, you know, the final judgment that could have been used to confirm. So just going to have to let that Gold Fury go at this point. Good call to get the Pyromancer on the flip side. So you're not hurting too bad at this point, but now Hydrogen's some trouble.
You might be able to get a little more CC immunity there for Snoopy. There's going to be the ult. There's the stun. It's just a combo of CC, and the lockdown is great. Monster Bomber jumps in. Good knock-up, but Whirlpool's getting Snoopy out of there for now. The Belch is going to get beatsed out, so the stun not able to connect. Oh. Final judgment. Okay, way too short to hit Snoopy there. And he felt pretty fine about that one. Good kill. They come in. They get what they want. Snoopy has to use some relics, but he gets out alive.
I will say, Tribno opting to pick up the shell this time. Probably a few reasons for that. Obviously, number one that comes to mind, Hurry wins walls. You want the Phantom Shell. Never getting trapped as Thoth. That's going to hurt pretty bad. But on the flip side, crit from Mercury, you know, a shell is always pretty solid against that. We haven't really seen the shell specifically to counter a Mercury since it used to absorb those autos. Ever since that's gone, you haven't really seen that been the main concern. But being able to Phantom Shell your carries as a Thoth is going to feel pretty good. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about, though, is they have a lot of burst on this Persephone pick specifically, so not having Aegis available could be coming back to bite them pretty soon.
Yeah, it's the weird balance, because it's now the 50% reduction on basic attacks, which is nice, but when you crit for 800, all of a sudden it doesn't matter. And when you find a 2-man ult Sonic Boom, huge from Leon, and they get 1 kill onto Monster Bomber, a double ult lockdown to get rid of the Bacchus, and Tripno just has to walk back. Bead's gone, shell not used. We can see how quickly you have to react to make that shell work.
Yeah, so everyone's going to be like, Trelly, Monster Bomber had beats. How come he died there? Well, he didn't have them up, all right? If he did have them up, probably would have been able to get out there. I'm still harping on this fact that if you have a CC Immune Guardian, it is pretty solid. Not always the best, but it's pretty solid to get that purification beat, because think about all the ultimates that were just chained off of just one stun there.
Yeah.
If the beats were available, it would have been pretty solid. Either way, Snatty getting aggressed over here. The crits are flying out.
Is it enough damage is the question. They get the lightning, they get the ult, they almost get more. He's doing a lot more damage than I expected. Look, Bluestone Wukong is like infamous because of what it did in Season 2. But there's a reason we don't see it too often now. But he's gone for the Rune Forge, he's gone into the Soul Eater as well. And we've seen this, but a Wukong with a build like this can hit really hard.
Yeah, for me, I think it's just because of the way that Snatty's optimized his build. Transcendence into Rune Forge, and then a Wing Blade or a Witch Blade, depending on whichever one he wants to go. Either way, no sort of protections built yet. So at this point, you're pretty much eating the brunt of Wukong's basic damage, which is pretty nuts given the build, and he is going to go for a breastplate, so he's tanky in this regard. Going to be tanky against not only the solo lane target, but the jungler he's against as well. So I think Heat's build is going to work out a little bit better early game, and it looks like Snatty is going to go for that Witchblade. There are a few auto attackers on the enemy team, so smart play in that regard. You have the Rain to slow attack speed, you have the Witchblade to throw attack speed, so it's a solid pickup, and it's very annoying.
Realistically, you can just screen cap, and Rach, this is going to be for you. You can screen cap the top 3 gods on Great Gentleman, where you have a Witchblade, and a Shell, and just be like, tell me there's auto attackers on the other team without telling me there's auto attackers. Like, they do not want to deal with this, because even after the abilities, like Wukong's going to be using it, and obviously this Mercury is, there's the hits, and there's the kill. It goes to Spreen, of all people, but Leon dropping the ult to be able to close the gap there. Gets another kill on the board. 5-0. Not a single pickup so far for Great Gentleman, and that's not from lack of effort. They're going to have to get things together. They got that Gold Fury earlier, but it is now a 3,000 gold difference separating these teams. Leoncitos can run away with this if they continue on this path. I
mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Gore, but I have not seen Dragon still since the last time I brought it up. Look at anyone for a sort of gank potential. He's just kind of been farming. It looks like El Leon is the only one who's really getting aggressive, trying to find all of these ganks, even forcing them, dashing under tower, missing the ult, and still able to grab these picks. He's just farming like a madman, but also looking for these ganks, whereas it looks like Sada is just trying to farm up. I haven't seen him get aggressive really at all.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any reason we've mentioned him other than the 2 times have been he's not ganking and the 1 time of, hey, he has a Witchblade too. Not working out well. Snoopy is working out incredibly well on the left-hand side. Walls from Hurry, trap Hydrogen in, and the slam is there to find the kill. 1 carry down, and Great Gentleman still nothing on the board other than the Goose Egg. Sata Dragon is going to be rotating in, or Sata Dragon caught out. It might just be the difference. Heed goes for the chase down, gets the slow, but immediately backs away here. Wants to continue their fight. Heed and Hurry do not want to slow down. And it looks like they're turning to this Primal Fury.
Yeah, I do think they are going to pull it here, but there's no way they try to 50-50 this with a Final Judgment in play. Tripno does have the ult available. I don't think they're going to want to try that. I think they're going to try to force this out now and look for the picks, and here it goes.
There's Leon immediately to the backline. Gets stunned out, gets knocked up, gets controlled, but the crits are just too much for Monster Bomber. Goes into the Aegis for Leon so he can close the gap, and the damage is still there. He hits another massive crit, but he has to get out of there. Still alive and still set up. Now Wukong dives in, and there's the slam from the Cudgel to make sure Tripno goes down. You get rid of the Final Judgment. You keep all 5, but you're pretty low. Still think they might want to start this one up. They're waiting. They want to bait out Great Gentleman. It's still 7-0, and Hydrogen, unfortunate for you. Those walls lock you in and keep you under control. Make another mark on the board for the Leoncitos.
Just a smart play in general. I mean, make sure you get to that thought. That Final Judgment is your 1 scare for pulling this objective right now. You do have the lead to do it, but do you have the secure? Not so much. Go for the kill. Kill them under tier 2 tower. You finish 2. The Centaurus still could have been a scare for that steal, so they say, hey, let's kill Hydrogen too. Chiron goes back. Now you pull the objective. Not rooming any room for Great Gentleman to try to find an avenue back into this game now. So I think if I was Great Gentleman, probably just go for the Pyromancer at that point and give that one up. But they really weren't positioned well to do it. They were under the tier 2 tower. So now they're going to lose both objectives, and the lead is starting to get a little bit out of control here.
Yeah, approaching 18 minutes. How about 7,000 gold? Feels pretty good all around. And you got a 3-level lead in mid. So that's 11,000 experience, and that is difficult. Hey, I said 3. I'm going to go ahead and correct it because Spring just ticked over to 19. That's 4 levels in mid, 3 in the duo lane for both. 2 in jungle, 1 in solo. So you can see a very left side skewed Leoncitos in control here.
Are you seeing Spreen's build? This man just finished a full staff of Mirrodin. It looks like he just has gold upon gold over everyone in the game. And just as I suspected, Sata Dragon is sitting at the bottom of the player damage chart, so I don't think he really has felt where he could force any sort of ganks right now in this game. It looks like they've completely shut down the jungle of Great Gentlemen. Without a jungler, where are you able to force anything? It just looks like they're sitting back and kind of rolling over until these Fire Giant fights.
I mean, you can see it on the board, but 2,500 gold is what's separating the 2 mid laners. Like, that's literally the full tier 3 item, essentially, that is separating them, making the big difference right now. You can see the damage, and that's what I think you mentioned is most impressive. We talk about how this Osiris is supposed to get hands-on early on. We mentioned how we're not seeing a lot out of it. And the fact that it's still 500 below. Look, 19 minutes in, I don't care. If you're a jungler, you should be at least above the supports, even if they are aggressive supports. So it feels like Satyr Dragon's been just kind of a spectator to the game and just gloriously running around inside the map. 0-0 and 0. Let's see if we can get something on board for this Osiris. But now that potentially simple kill earlier onto a Cabrakan is a lot more difficult with the build Hurry's gone. You can see he doesn't take a lot of damage there. And so, a little bit more damage. Now he's only 200 behind the Bacchus. Doesn't really accomplish anything there.
Yeah, again, if this was on one of his core picks, like the Kali, for example, I would understand this passive approach where, hey guys, when I get level 20, I'm going to carry you. Just sit back and let me get there. Osiris, especially with this sort of tanky build he's opting to go for here, obviously Witchblade into the Berserker Shield, probably a Shogun's next, is not going to have that crazy late game shred, especially not when we just watched Leon crit for 800 right now. So I just don't think that right now it's going to provide that much. If he does pick up like a Bumba's Hammer into maybe like a Kin size, he could do some crazy damage late game. But at the moment, we just have not seen this Osiris get active, and it's shown in the farm department of his whole team.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I mean, at this point, you got to figure out where you're going to get hands-on. I'm watching Leon's build, and the minute the Deathbringer is finished, that's already not a comfortable spot to be in. Just the threat of getting stunned out and ulted right there forces Satyr Dragon to use the Lord of the Afterlife over the wall, so the leap is down. The only close gap that you had available. Here's the other one, Shelly. The beads, not too surprising. You know, on a jungler, it is a little more passive, but like keeps you alive. Meditation. Haven't seen that in months at this point. Like, I mean, people were really big on it at the end of last year, but with the shells, with everything that's changed, it's been an update to the relics. I was gonna talk about the fire giant, but God, it died so fast. Snatty, you do not want to be in this area. It's another kill for Leoncitos, 9-0, and a fire giant, maybe the quickest I've ever seen, that they just burned down almost instantly. Who cares about the meditation? This is just such a good spot to be in.
Yeah, I was going to touch on the fact that Meditation is a pretty solid pickup into Mercury specifically, as Leon definitely just is going to 1v1 Hydrogen here. No way you ever live these. Because Mercury can't really build a Brawlers, right? He has to build a Toxic Blade if he wants anti-heal, so people like the healing, but there's just no reason to mention that anymore because the right Phoenix is being sieged.
He says, look, I might not be able to anti-heal you. I'll just crit more than you're healing. Tier 2 and left goes down. Doesn't matter. It's the right-hand Phoenix that is under aggression. Great gentleman. Still a goose egg on the board. Will they get blanked? Are the Leoncitos going to be able to do this? Leon gets a kill on a Satyr Dragon. The rest of the team is marching forward into the Titan room, and they are going to be able to take this. Game number 1 goes to the veterans.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing that solo kill tells you everything you really need to know here. My man got no sorts of crits there. That wasn't Mercury RNG, as it looks like Snatty is going to find her win. Let's go! No goose egg, 14-1. Great gentleman, I'm calling it 2-1 comeback just off of that kill.
Now, credit where credit's due. Big ups to the Titan.
Yeah.
Put in a lot of work there at the end. Got the kill for him. I think that one, I mean, it comes down to it, like, look at the jungle matchup, right? I mean, that's essentially what it feels like. It just feels like Leon is active and the Osiris died.
Yeah, to me, it looked like the Titan right there probably did more than Satyr Dragon was able to do all game. No credit, no discredit to him. He was trying to stay farm, but it looks like Leon was just way too active. Commanded the map, was in all sort of lanes there.
Well, Leoncitos take a 1-0 lead here. We'll see if they can close this out in 2 and get themselves a spot in the SCC, or if the great gentlemen have a matchup for us to showcase what they have ready to offer. We'll find that out right after this.
If you keep this up, then I'll let you in, 'cause you have a way with me like no one else. Yeah, you almost make me fall in love. Yeah, you got me hypnotized.
Well, a very convincing but not goose egg win there for the Leoncitos. They've managed to pull back 1 kill on the Great Gentleman. Unfortunately for them, it is only the 1 kill that ends up getting pulled back. Shelly on the desk with me once again. My name's Gormizer, and that one was a fun game to watch. Maybe not as fun for Great Gentlemen as it was for us and probably Leoncitos. But with 1 game away from being able to make it in the SEC, that is the kind of vibe that you want going into game number 2, right? Just in your control.
Very little mistakes there, I think, besides Great Gentlemen pulling ahead in the duo lane just a little bit early, and then that 1 Gold Fury that they snuck. Besides that, didn't look like they had much presence at all in this game. I mean, 1 kill at the very tail end of that game because of the Titan. Very sick turnaround.
They almost got
by
first blood,
Snoopy.
though.
Yeah, very sick turnaround here by Snoopy, obviously. But besides that, that was the only real sign of life we saw from Great Gentlemen.
Yeah, and look, you're going to see a lot of jungle plays here, and you're going to see a lot of mid lane plays here, and every single one of those, I think, is well made. Unfortunately, they're all going to be very one-sided, is the problem with a lot of it. And it was just like hard CC chains that were consistent throughout all of this. I mean, say Hurwin doesn't stun you, which is already very difficult to have happen. All of a sudden, you've got some control that can come from Charybdis. You've got control that can come from Spreen, from a Leon, from Heed. No matter what, it felt like somebody was ready to go in, and that was the magic cudgel that really opened up the conversation for a huge objective play. I think that's where the massive lead from Leoncitos was able to pick it up. And then while the rest of the team was just kind of chilling over on the right-hand side taking a Phoenix, Leon just kind of kills everyone that stands in the left lane he was worried about. And it's about as clean as it gets. Look, 1 death, and it goes onto the support. That's actually even better. Like, hurry, taking one for the team.
Yep,
exactly as necessary. I don't know how. Do you, like, if you're a Great Gentleman, you probably just reset, right? Like, you just ignore that game.
Yeah, I think you have to have a mental reset, no doubt. Prioritize getting Sad on a jungle he can get active on. 3,000 damage, even less than the support, obviously. Just not exactly the performance you want out of your jungler. I think, again, he did get target banned. Two bans sent his way, I believe. Or maybe just the Kali specifically, I think. Either way, you probably want him on a god that he's more comfortable with, able to force more fights, because the Mercury was getting active early when he really shouldn't have been able to, in theory. So I'd say focus on your jungle more specifically there and, run it back. Mental reset. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess if they could do it right here, right now, game number 2, you've got to turn it around in picks and bans, because otherwise you get knocked out here. That's it. Tournament's over. The SCC spot gets taken by the Leoncitos. So we'll see how they change up these picks and bans. The Chalk came through, which was a little wild, although the Chalk didn't necessarily have a bad performance there. I think it was one of those cases of everything else is already wildly out of control. Bastet gets banned out, not too surprising. Last time you had mentioned there was a Kali, like I think Serket was banned by Great Gentlemen.
Yep.
Finrear got banned by Leoncitos, so there were a couple that were like jungle support bans.
There was a Zeus ban.
And the Zeus at the very top, so maybe that's the control. I mean, we were worried about the Thoth, but he didn't get much done.
Yeah, I mean, when you're getting dove by that many people, the lockdown was pretty insane. Your support can't really peel because he's so far behind at that point. I mean, Thoth just really is not able to do too much. We saw a little bit of greatness there at those mid-camp fights where he was able to poke out some damage with the hieroglyphic assault, but the final judgments just weren't on point, and there was really nothing the team could do as a whole there to make that Thoth pick work. So I think, at this point, you're not too worried about the Thoth at the very least, but I definitely wouldn't say it was the main reason that they lost there.
Well, we'll see. I mean, Leoncitos were willing to let it go through the last time, so I have to imagine they'll be willing to let it go through this time. Persephone gets banned, Serket is banned, the Bastet are the 3 from Great Gentlemen. It's the Amaterasu, the Zeus, and now the Finrear once again. So that changes out.
It's got to be Kali or Nem first.
Kali,
pick.
yeah. I was like, who was it? They banned somebody last time that was coming through. Can you first pick a Kali?
I don't think you can, and I will say there's so many counters in this meta right now to her. But we saw her picked into her counters last time we saw. The one time I saw Kali that wasn't in the NA bracket, obviously, was in the EU boys picked her up. And it was into Kumba. It was into Bologna. It was all these picks that Kali should not work into. And to be fair, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Obviously, Trickstank was able to shut that one down on the Kumba specifically. So I don't think you want to first pick it there, but I don't think Elion's going to take it away either. So you have some freedom here. You have 2 more picks to play with where you could get your jungler, and I definitely think they need to prioritize it right now.
And as much as we've been saying, and I think talking about how this Cabrakan is more often in the jungle, at least from what we've seen this year. Hadn't been the case today. Today he's been playing a lot of support and going over into that left lane. So we'll see if that goes the way. Charybdis and the Tiamat locked in. Another pick that Spreen had a really, really good performance on earlier today, along with that Persephone, so maybe going 2 for 2 here. It's the Kabrakan, the Thoth, and the Sun Wukong that rounds out the top 3. And again, I don't know where Wukong's been, but he's not picks and bans over the last few days. Today, this set specifically, he's jumping back up in terms of priority.
Yeah, I think for me, the Wukong pick says, hey, I was on chalk. I got a little focused early. I want a safer pick. Wukong, arguably the safest pick right now. I
He's
mean,
real good at not dying.
You go into that Somersault Cloud, you get some Soul Eater online, you're constantly sustaining. You can just say, hey, I'm going to go up here for a while, full heal. I think just getting your solo on someone that can't get camped very easily is pretty solid for them, but still, great gentleman. Unless that Kabrakan is going to the jungle, as we said, we've seen it more in the support more recently. Have not opted to prioritize Sada Dragon's jungle pick, unless, again, that Kabrakan is going to be going in the jungle.
Well, respect thrown towards Leon. A Mercury and a Daji get banned out. It is the Medusa and the Kali on the other. Speaking of people who we haven't seen, he's in every cinematic that I think we could throw up.
Yep.
But no one's been playing him for a long time. King Arthur is making his way into this game. And I'm going to be honest, Trelly, I think a lot of people were kind of happy he was going. He got so many games at the beginning of Season 8 that everyone was like perfectly fine that he wasn't seen around for a long time.
Yeah, for me, as long as it's not the healing Glad Shield that can proc on every single one of his abilities, I don't really care for the King Arthur pick. You know, he's pretty easy to shut down with some hard CC and cripples, things of that nature. And we're both scratching our head here because they could go either ways. It's either an Iset jungle or Kabrakan jungle, right? Unless somehow it's a Wukong jungle. I mean, they want to throw a wrench in our plans. Elimination is on the line right now. You have to throw something in the mix because last game didn't go well. So, for me, I'm thinking it is Iset support Kabrakan jungle. That's what I would go in this instance, but it's not my game. It's the great gentleman's game to lose. So they have to make a comeback at this point. So on the flip side, Leon just goes to the tried and true Hoonbats.
Yep.
We've seen him a few times this week. We've seen him. That ultimate is going to be your big contention point, obviously. Very rough for the Thoth and the Kabrakan specifically, but you do have that Chiron cleanse, which could help you out if you're on point with those. So I like the draft from both sides, but great gentleman. Definitely throwing a wrench in the plans.
I'm going to be honest, when you start to lean on Chiron's cleanse specifically, like, is it nice to have? Yes. Is it something you want to rely on? Probably not. So we'll see if Great Gentleman can make it work out here, as it is going to be Monster Bomber on this E-set. Now, the last time, and this is actually going to be a complete lie, because I know we've seen it at least a few times over in the SPL play-ins, I believe. But at least in the SPL, the last time it was played in like a large fashion was on Worlds.
Don't say
the
it.
Leviathans brought in a Nox to counter it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Not something I recommend for everybody because you're not the Leviathans, but it worked out pretty well then.
Yeah, I was definitely rooting for the Bullets at the time. I wanted to see some competitive games, and when I saw some Jake Luck in the E-set support again, I was like...
You closed the stream.
Yeah, I was like, well, unfortunate. I wasn't rooting for them for the whole tournament. I just wanted to see... I want to see competitive Smite, and it looked like they were going to get washed out there, and I was like, come on, let's see something different. The E-set support, not my favorite pick in that team specifically, but we've seen it to some great success. Quig loves whipping out that E-set support as well. So right now, I don't hate it into this draft specifically, but a lot of CC 4 beads out of Great Gentleman, and rightfully so. Elion's Fear No Evils are going to be coming out very quickly.
Yeah, I would be frightened of it. Honestly, you had mentioned how it's going to be painful for the Thoth. Yeah, grab beads, your trip, no, that's a good choice. Painful for Sada Dragon. He's gone blink, so if it hits this Kabrakan, well, that should end up resulting in a kill. At least a 1-for-1 trade like that should be consistent. But once again, they're going with a different kind of start. Sada Dragon sits a little bit further more in the solo lane. But I feel like, and this is such a weird pivot for them, because Osiris we wanted to see early on. I could see a little more from a Kabrakan. Like, you get a good stun here against the King Arthur. Maybe that opens up the conversation. But, like, realistically, kind of feels like Sada Dragon's going to be relaxing for a few minutes.
Yeah, I think Sada Dragon can actually aggress onto Leon specifically until level 5, obviously not opting to go for those beads. So Hoonbats comes online a little bit later, not too much crazy damage, but Kabrakan on the other hand, very tanky early on, does have that built-in Guardian tankiness, obviously. Crazy setup potential for this Thoth. I do think right now, I got to give the edge to the in the 2v2 specifically for the Kabrakan and the Thoth over this Tiamat Hoonbats combo. Both of these characters need more items to get online before their fight's pretty solid.
Yeah, they do tend to translate a little bit later. I won't be surprised if we don't see a lot from Leon. Heed so low, but Heed still alive. Snatty still very close to being able to apply a lot. Look, Bluestone Wukong can bully in lane. Sada Dragon
Coming this
is
way.
in the jungle. And he's not going for a gank.
I didn't realize how little mana he actually had there. I saw he had the blink available, and I was like, surely this is a kill onto the King Arthur. But it turns out my man has no sort of mana pot, so going to have to dial it back, go back to base at this point, and back to the old farm game. But I do like that Sad Dragon was posturing over there, like we said. Need to see him get active early game. Until that Fear No Evil is online, he pretty much does have free reign. I don't think there's any real contention points for him on the map until those ultimates are available.
Now, you know, Wukong, we just saw have a decent performance, and evidently can fit pretty well into the playstyle these two teams are bringing. How do you feel about King Arthur right now?
I was just going to touch on the fact that I love seeing these Bluestone ability-based warriors coming back into the meta. We haven't seen King Arthur, and I think it's for good reason. Just because he's very easy to shut down with. Like I said, if you have that CC able to cancel his dashes, you have to play very safe. But he's great at getting a lead. King Arthur, very oppressive from the early that early damage, having more abilities than everyone else, able to proc Bluestone so effectively. So right now, I think as long as he's playing safe early, which right now obviously a level down until he clears that wave, going to be having to chill a little bit. I think he'll be just fine. It's just going to be a little bit rough for him if he does get CC chained.
He has to playing this one carefully. Snatty immediately pushed up to the tower line. And like you said, Leon is here, but Leon's probably not going to be getting hands-on anytime soon. More relaxing up until that level 5 mark. So watch the Hunbat's a little behind where Sada Dragon is, who already has those walls available. Could go for a huge gank. That being said, it comes at a cost. You've got a level 4 jungler, but a level 6 mid laner here in Spring. So whatever he's been doing, it's been getting good farm.
Yeah, the Tiamat, pretty effective, especially with that Conduit gem start where you can just sort of proc it on the wave, make sure you're clearing effectively, go back. Obviously different than the Eye of the Jungle start that Tripnose opted to go for. You're trying to go a little bit tankier in that regard because we saw the Thoth a little bit focused last game. They're running it back here, so I think Tripnose just said, hey, I want to stop being, you know, as squishy as Thoth can be, and I'm just going to go for that Eye of the Jungle start. Probably trying to, you know, stay a little bit in the backline here.
Well, Fafnir's rotated out of this duo lane real early, whereas Iset is still just hanging out with Hydrogen. And maybe it would have made a bigger difference. I was expecting maybe it to make a bigger difference. They got aggressive onto Snoopy, but not enough. They were able to get a kill onto them. Now it's, you know, purple buff conversations. Late game conversations, you always have to talk about how this Iset is just not inherently as tanky. And it's something I didn't even think about this over the last couple of games because there's been a lot of I wanted to call it Sentinel's Gift, but that's nowhere near what it's called anymore.
I call it, you know, Watcher's Gift, Sentinel's Blessing. There's so many names.
Yeah,
there's so many names that it's went over at this point.
The one with wings, the support item that starts with wings versus benevolence, which is what both of them have gotten. That's something that just kind of catches my eye here.
Yeah, at this point, I think you have to go to the Compassion. No real reason for you to get any benefit out of Animosity on this E-set pick, which will help you tanky, but Hurrywin!
Oh my God.
Were you trying to steal their blessings, Hurrywin? You're gone. I think Sad Dragon, finally, that's the first time I've seen him get aggressive in these games, but great time to do it, making sure to stop Hurrywin from stealing away your Obelisk. Didn't even get it. So at this point, you still could steal away the Indra Scepter if you're able to get those blessings online early. It's very close. I think that one might have actually finished it, so unfortunate for them. They're not going to be able to get the Obelisk in their favor, but either way, Hurrywin stopped in his tracks there.
I mean, you know, who was, I know J-Mac said it earlier today, but I think that's been a conversation over the weekend, is after the nerf to the Obelisk, it wasn't that big a deal to die and go that deep. Speaking of that deep, he just gets himself a solo kill over here. Hurrywin bites off more than he can chew, pays for the over-aggression, and now, of course, you get a good solo lane, solo kill. Maybe a little bit more. Leon coming into the mid lane.
Being chased by Sada, though. This is exactly what you can do on this pick. Kabrakan is going to have a good time, but
there's the Fear No Evil, the lockdown, the CC, the damage is there. Hurry is the one who gets credit, and then a stun onto Tripno because Snoopy's rotated over. Yeah, there's going to be the Whirlpool form, and that ends up paying off for them. Let's pick up one more Monster Bomber. He's just a lowly mage. You can chase him down, but the slow is good from Hydrogen, and that beautiful, beautiful shielding is going to be able to come in handy there. Keep Monster Bomber alive. pull a kill away from the Leoncitos. So now it reads 3-1. They still get a lot there.
Yeah, Sada Dragon doing exactly what he should, trying to bully this Hoonbats, but posted way too far up. No beads available. Obviously, having the blink there is going to be just a little bit too much. Obviously, he'd getting the 6 solo kill, being able to rotate over to the fight. I thought that was going to spell disaster for Monster Bomber here, but look at how much damage this King Arthur is putting out onto Snatty.
Yeah, I guess, you know what? If you're going to have someone who's trying to Bluestone beat down on the other side, you just do it yourself, but better. And that is exactly what Heed is bringing to the table. Good Ox form. I don't think Snatty gets out of there otherwise, and honestly, Heed, if he had a little more mana, Snatty might not be out of there anyway. Luckily for Snatty, that's going to be the pause button on the Leoncitos aggression. Heed, it's a little bit of damage onto the Totem of Ku of all things. I don't know if this is where Snatty wants to be. Sada Dragon's here. He's going to be going for the gank. Now the aggression is available. Good blink, good stun, good damage, but up into the skies, and here comes the Hoonbats waiting for them to fall down. There's the up-down slam, and it's going to be the Heed kill, and Leon needs something to go his way. Good Fear No Evil gets a jungle kill. Is it going to be enough for him to be able to get out of there? Snatty's still on the chase. The 2v2 happening in the FG pit. He's going to get assisted by Snatty. Leon's looking for a little more. Not able to find it. Does go down. And now Hurry is in a bad spot. Runs away. And it ends up being a 2-for-1 trade.
I think if Leon's Fear No Evil was up a second earlier, he probably could have got that kill, saved his solo laner, and got out. It was just didn't quite tick over. That cooldown is pretty atrocious early game, obviously, because the ultimate is so strong. So having to build into that Jotuns, into the hi-rez is going to help him out a lot, but still just not quite available. So obviously he does fall there. And unfortunately, Leon bit off a little bit more than he could chew there. Tripno was able to stay alive just barely until Leon was picked off there. So great return kills from the Great Gentleman. They have actually accrued a little bit of a gold lead here after that. So pretty solid plays by them, making sure to answer back. This is a completely different Sada Dragon that we love to see. He's been looking for kills everywhere now.
Well, there's potentially a stun. No, the lockdown from the Tiamat. Unfortunate for Great Gentleman. But now they're in a good position. Last time they snuck away a Gold Fury. And I honestly thought they were running right to it, but they just run right by it and go back to farming up, grabbing jungle buffs, going to the lane, whatever. So something I think is available. Plus, you have to talk about the Circle of Protection and the Final Judgment now, right? It's not just one. They've got two pretty big secures on their side.
Yeah, they do.
No way.
Oh, hold up. We have a big option going for here. Fear No Evil is available, so you could just CC off the game. I don't know if they're going to be able to go for it.
Well, there's the Fear No Evil. Leoncitos get it. And Heroine's out alive for now. Slowed down, but is still alive. Leoncitos with the Gold Fury. Easy, secure for them. But it does cost the Fear No Evil, and it does cost Spreen an ult to make sure they can disengage properly. But it feels pretty worthwhile when you're not too worried about it. Snoopy seems pretty happy as well. So they get a little bit of farm going in their favor. Nowhere near as much, at least last time when we were finally starting to talk about the gold lead. You know, it was 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 in favor of Leoncitos. It's not even 1K just yet. I mean, they're hovering at the 500 mark, which is not a lot of gold to work with.
No, they're definitely looking pretty even right about now, but that is a pretty ballsy call. As long as Leon called out, hey guys, I've got Fear No Evil. Unless Monster Bomber pre-beads is this, we have a pretty solid time out confirming the Circle of Protection. Obviously, that is what happens. But as you were saying a little bit earlier, Gore, this E-set is going to be a little bit less tanky unless this Lonos mask is picked up, which it looks like Monster Bomber is building into. Gonna hurt the damage, gonna hurt the confirm, the heal of Circle of Protection a little bit, but now opting to be a little bit tankier once that's finished. That's gonna help out a lot because this E-set is gonna have to be the front line and the main peel for Great Gentleman.
That puts you in a precarious spot, right? Hey, you're gonna go be the mage, and trust me, so there are some mages, like, if you told me Tiamat was building tanky, I'd believe you. They're gonna live through. Zhang Kui, you know, I believe you, right? They're gonna be able to withstand a lot of damage. E-set wasn't necessarily high on that list, but like you said, some items make it a little easier. And you can already see it right there. I mean, Monster Bomber at least able to only take a third of their health, but there's gonna be the CC chain. Beats forced out. Leon seems pretty happy with that one. They turn around and run back. Sada Dragon gets aggressive, stunned out by Hurry, and Leoncitos just go ahead and pull away. But that's the danger, right? Monster Bomber is still kind of tanky, but not as tanky.
Yeah, having to burn the beads there, I think that was the win they were looking for. I'm pretty sure Leon wasn't saying, hey guys, we can kill the C-set right now. That is a fully stacked Thebes, so just getting the beads, making sure next time that Fear No Evil comes through, they will be able to pick up a kill if they have the damage for it, obviously. So small wins here for Leoncitos. Obviously, they did get this small lead accrued here, and now Leon, no ult available, is going to look for Snatty here.
Yeah, it comes in, overhand smash. That's a lot of damage in the blink of an eye. They at least get Snatty to use the ult. Hurry goes into his ult. Now Snoopy's getting aggressive. Whirlpool damage. Jeez! They just stack it up on top. Everything they could throw out connects there. And Hydrogen has no answer for that one. Goes down, gets the Aegis, starts up a spiked gauntlet. And that's the other thing. You know what? Looking at the builds, you would kind of mention specifically Monster Bomber. But this is a different build. Crusher was pretty on par for what we were used to seeing.
Right.
Transcendence and now a spiked gauntlet are both wildly different than normal for Hydrogen.
Yeah, for me, it looks like Hydrogen's just opting to go full ability-based Chiron here, trying to do as much as he can with the Centaurus and the shots and just making sure he can stay back, because right now he's been put under a little bit of pressure. Obviously, Charybdis able to dive the tower pretty effectively with that Whirlpool to just get out of jail free card, so probably saying, hey guys, I might go for a Soul Eater or hold that thought. It looks like Leon's finding a huge ult.
It's on 2. Satyr Dragon, Tripno, low. Hurry once more. Nobody else is with him, so maybe he's going to get pulled back into that one. That's a big Fear No Evil, especially considering you get no beads out of it. They managed to withstand that. And no kills.
Yeah, the Tiamat doesn't have too much follow-up burst, not like a final judgment from a Thoth, but look at this. Even after the Fear No Evil's down, it's looking to get aggressive on Snatty again.
And now the damage just needs to be there. Overhand smash is good. One more auto heed. Gets credit for that one. The tower dive successful. And now it reads 6-3. Will mention Great Gentleman tripled so far their amount of kills in game number 1. So it's a vast improvement from what that kind of controlling nature Leoncitos were able to put on. But the gold lead's now starting to really come to fruition for Leoncitos. 2,200, and it feels like it's still rising for them after that Gold Fury kind of kicked things off. So now it's in the realm of fear, I think, for Great Gentlemen to try and get their hands back on the steering wheel.
Yeah, and we got a little bit of a glimpse of that as Hydrogen tried to go for a little solo fight there, missed all 3 fights of Centaurus, or shots of Centaurus, I should say, so no real aggression going to be happening anymore in that lane. Unfortunate, because that's pretty much all you're building for at this point. You're trying to chunk with that ult, chunk with your abilities, and if you're not landing those consistently, you're not going to get this value out of an ADC. You don't have any sort of shred right now. The tanks are going to look extremely tanky to you, so... And it looks like Soul Eater is the option, so no sort of Blood Forge, no sort of Devos. This is going to be a Soul Eater Chiron, double stacking build so far, Gore, from the Chiron.
And you know what? If he's going, if he wants to lean that hard into it, we'll let him, and we'll figure out how it's going to work out. Hydrogen now getting aggressive onto the Charybdis. Monster Bomber's here. There's the CC immunity. This is what Charybdis is especially good at. And even goes for the stun, gets it onto Monster Bomber, has the backup Heroine Heed all the way over here from Solo. Circle of Protection used, and they seem happy with that. Snoopy has to drop just a little bit the ult to stay alive. But Circle of Protection, especially with a Primal Fury up, that's a big win for Leoncitos.
Yep, all eyes are going to have to be on Tripno here. This Thoth does have Final Judgment available, but Leon already knows he's got his ultimate available as well. Fear No Evil pretty much going to shut down any chance you have. You cannot charge Final Judgment when you're getting CC, and you can't beads when you're charging it. So pretty difficult to outconfirm a Hoonbats in that regard. But it looks like they're trying to get aggressive here instead of looking for the Fury.
I actually like this. So far, Tripno has just been playing, I'm going to beat up Leon and see what happens here. If possible, we're going to try and keep him under wraps. Hasn't worked too much. His health bar is still pretty healthy, but you can see where that poke has been coming through. And they're going to go ahead and come back over to the Gold Fury. There's the transformation for Hurrywind, and that usually has been the confirmation and being able to burn things down. But Bet Snatty deep into the backline. Heed on the opposite end, and Leon is here, but the silence is going to be good, not good enough. Beads from Hydrogen keep them alive and in it. And there's that damage you were talking about earlier, just barely missing with the last shot. But that is Great Gentleman falling back. Ult's been used by Leoncitos, and Snatty, he seems to be surrounded by, well, now 4 with Leon backing. That bird form gets him pretty far away. All you need is a little bit of CC, and there's the hammer. They have the damage, and they're going to force the Somersault Cloud up into the sky and back under the Tier 1 tower. Should be a start for the Fury for Leoncitos.
Yeah, see, that's the difference between these two ADC builds right now. Snoopy walks up, is able to shred Snatty. On the flip side, Hydrogen can chunk a Leon, but when he gets to him, there's no way he's ever going to have any sort of damage to shut that down. Sada looking to turn on El Leon here.
Oh, the damage is good, but he's still alive. Does get taken down. Final Judgment used for that one. Sada low, so jungle for jungle is the trade. Tripno, no mana, going to fall back to the base. And Leoncitos have just been looking for kills, but they managed to maintain exactly their 3-kill lead for right now. Circle of Protection's up. Monster Bomber's hanging out over here. I thought it was going to be a little bit more than that, but ultimately it's just a little bit of CC thrown out. Snatty hanging around, but I don't think they're going to get anything.
No, Snoopy is 3-0, level 17 right now, closest to him from the opposition. Level 15 on these carries. He is doing way too much damage. I mean, even what Monster Bomber is able to put out, the CC, he didn't really care. He didn't have to use any relics. He's just going to sit there and take it. At this point, no one wants to get close to this Charybdis. I mean, already has Kinzai's, Crusher, and Aussie available. Going to pull the Gold Fairy once again. I see no problem here.
Yeah, starting it up, Snoopy's going to rotate in. This should be spotted out by Monster Bomber on the mini-map. You can see Thoth rotating in. No Final Judgment just yet. Spirit Bomb thrown out, stuns out Heat. They drop and unleash the Gold Fury. Try to get aggressive. Snatty stunned down. Snatty takes half their health in the process of just standing here. There's a masterful shot to land a little bit of damage. It looks like there's going to be aggression in the mid lane. There is the Fear No Evil, but Snatty makes it up into the sky. Maintains those beads a little bit longer. Hurrywin takes some damage. There's going to be the stun. There's some great shots coming down from Hydrogen, and they get rid of the support player, finally getting something pulled back in favor of Great Gentleman. And no trade this time. It's just 1-0.
No, there's no way they're going to try to fight into this now. I mean, they're just pumping out so much damage. Hydrogen and Tripno together, they outrange everyone on the map. It's going to try to be a 50-50 here. There's no real huge confirmation. The E-set ult is available, but she's frontlining.
Yeah, Snoopy's in trouble. Snoopy wall down. There is that Whirlpool form, and the distance seems to be just enough. The CC immunity on top of that gets out of their circle of protection used. Heed takes a lot of damage. Heed manages to spin their way out, but it's not far enough to get away from the Thoth. Spreen leaps over the wall, and Leon's just trying to run away. Halfway back on that Fear No Evil. But I think this Primal Fury, no, it gets left by the wayside. Great Gentlemen get another kill for themselves. Tripno's going for more. And I don't know if this is one that you want to continue the fight for. Leon's going to back off. Tripno, Hydrogen, they're going to back off. Nobody gets the objective, but it's been a fun back and forth.
It definitely was a fun back and forth. El Leon's ult almost back up at that point. That's how much cooldown he has built into at this point. So no one feeling too confident to pull this objective. It's been leashed back and forth probably 3 or 4 times now by both of these teams. So just happy with getting a little bit of farm online. Finally, Hydrogen has caught up, at least in levels, to Snoopy. Still down a little bit in the gold department, but I think he's pretty fine just, you know, firing off these Centaurs from far away. Poking down Hurrywin last fight was pretty insane, and now, as long as you're sitting with your Thoth, you're going to have so much range in the backline.
We'll see if Tripno can keep this up. Final Judgment's back available. He's been hitting a lot of those. The damage is just nuts. It's just good. He's gotten the Charon's coin as well. We haven't seen too often. They're stacking all 5 in mid as of right now. Snoopy is solo pushing on left. So it looks like it's going to be tier 1 for tier 1. Leon has gotten that blink, so blink ult's available for them. But it doesn't look like anybody's really trying to start a fight. That's not true. Snatty looks like he's trying to start a fight, but he's also backing, so it probably is just going to go ahead and pretty much be the pause button on any aggression there. And after what felt like a, 3-minute fight for a Fury, it's just kind of all aggression disappeared.
Yeah, right now it looks like Snoopy knows exactly where he needs to be. Obviously there was no threat of a fire pull because you don't really have too much burn for it. I mean, with this build that Hydrogen's opt to go, they're not going to be shredding down Fire Giant very quickly at all. El Leon, huge blink in, going to get the beads and just back out. And it looks like he's happy with that.
Yeah, honestly, hey, I made it so Tripno can die. Please, somebody else can get back there this time around. Heed, I'm looking at you. Maybe we'll see what they can do. Good CC is all that matters. It opens up a conversation, but again, like you said, it is just going to be a patience. 160 seconds, though, versus now the Jotun's Wrath cooldown of the Fear No Evil, so it should be a little faster for Leon to be able to get back in the fray.
Yeah, I think more specifically that blink cooldown is what he's going to be looking at
True.
here. He does have the Relic Dagger, so that is going to be a little bit slower, only 70 seconds now. But because Fear No Evil is down, the Primal Fury is being looked at, and it's going to be pretty free as long as no one stuns out Tripno or Monster Bomber on the confirm.
It's that caveat, despite the fact that it seems like it should be free. Nobody from Great Gentlemen are starting it up. They're too timid to try and control this. 3,000 has been the gold lead for, I think, 8 minutes at this point. I mean, it feels like it's been a while, yeah. So it's been going on for some time, hovering around that 3K mark. Earlier, I think it was bumping up to 3,500. There we go. Now it's just hanging around the 3K. Fury seems more tantalizing. At this point, it almost feels like you'd have a better time. Just go burn the Pyromancer real fast just to get some gold.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I would agree with you, but I have not let any sort of steals roll out the realm of possibility. Again, we saw Rising Dawn, Kepri 2 steal Fire Giant yesterday, so
yeah.
When anyone is on the map, a steal is possible. I think Leon finally realized, hey, let's stop posturing around that gold free. Let's go for FG.
Sada spots it out, goes in, stuns out Snoopy, and Snoopy takes a good amount of damage. The ult isn't enough to get him out of there. Whirlpool form is, but Snatty's chasing him down. Snatty continuing to look towards the back line. There's the bird form, closes the gap, gets in there, gets the slow, but gets stunned out thanks to Hurry. There's going to be some damage from Hydrogen, and they are trying to get rid of this Charybdis, but it means nothing, and there's the Fear No Evil. Snatty isolated and locked up against the wall, not enough to get the kill. So far, it's a lot of damage, no death. Sada Dragon, Tremors in the jungle. They get him off the Fire Giant. In fact, this might be a good spot for Great Gentlemen to try and go for a Fire Giant.
Yeah, I really thought Snatty would just melt there, but take a look at Elion's build. He does not have that serrated finish. He's not doing any sort of damage right now to the tanky character of a Wukong, so there's no way he's ever going to look for that, but he could teleport in here. Tripno looks very low, but obviously Sada just making sure anytime he gets close, he's going to be stunned out here, so Elion going to have to dial that one back. Looks like Great Gentlemen not feeling too confident to pull that despite the fact that they were some key ultimates wasted on the side of Leoncitos. So now, I think it's going to be back to the old drawing board here as they just pull Pyromancer.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes you just got to go for the easiest one to kill. Yeah, you tried a lot for Primal Fear, didn't work. Tried for Fire Giant, didn't work. Kill one, get something back in your pockets, feel a little more confident in your capabilities. Plus, have this the biggest thing, and I actually love this, the Pyro giving you the ability to come back into the fight a little quicker.
Mm-hmm.
When you're fighting around Fire Giant, that's a huge deal. Letting somebody back if you don't have a teleport available, being able to let them get back in. And now they're going back over to the Fury. Primal could be huge, Jelly. I mean, it's been huge essentially for like 8 minutes of play. But if you get it, you can melt that Fire Giant down a little bit faster. It doesn't seem like Leoncitos feel confident yet. So we go back to this weird. This is like the weirdest neutral ground we've ever been in.
It's just a guessing game at this point. Like, wait, all right, they have a ward on fire. We got to do that. Wait, did anyone check Gold Fury? Go back to Primal Fury. They run over there. Obviously, jump away at this point. Like, wait, did you guys counter that ward on fire? Go back to fire. So they're gonna have to keep eyes on both objectives right now, making sure to keep tabs on Leon at all times because he has been sneaking around, looking for those beads. Obviously, Tripno has them available right now, but has been the target of a few of these Fear No Evil. So gonna have to be looking around in these corners, making sure there's not a Hoonbat lurking, as he is right now, posting up at this Fire Giant.
You had mentioned it earlier, but that Serrated Edge is now finished, so should be able to do a lot. Upgraded beads, upgraded blink, so we should see a little bit more from Leon in the next couple of engagements, potentially being able to get back there. It's that 20% pin. That's the big number on this one. All of a sudden, Sada, Snatty, and specifically Monster Bomber aren't feeling as safe if Leon gets into the back line.
Yeah, as we saw, he kind of just hit Snatty with a wet noodle last time. It looked like he was CC'd for so long, but couldn't even really break the shield. Now I think he's going to be doing a lot more damage as Snoopy pulls this by himself, but Sada going to get very aggressive here.
And I like the play so far. Whirlpool forced out. Downside of trying to chase down a Charybdis. Bright side, you got the beads anyway, so you are able to pull something away from Snoopy. Still standing on a ward, guys, and that's exactly what the problem is. Sada sees that there's two over here. I don't know that Sada was betting on that one. The stun is good, but the damage is a little bit better the other way around. Snoopy stays alive, and Snoopy keeps going. Tripno rotates in and finds the shot that is necessary. So they go 1 for 1. Snoopy finally gets shut down at this point. 4-1-0 for the Charybdis. It's going to be the Great Gentleman this time, starting up the Primal Fury.
That was a massive Hydra's auto to make sure that his ADC did not die. Unfortunately, Tripno was there, and this should be Primal Fury for Great Gentleman. They missed the confirm, but still goes their way. And now Hurwin gets absolutely deleted.
It's a good fight. Heed is getting chased down. Heed, you don't got a lot of health to get away from this one. And the damage is going to be too good. A lot of ults getting dropped, though, from Great Gentleman. I guess at the end of the day, they finally taken the kill lead. 3 for 1. finally in their favor. Maybe make it 4. Leon, you got to be careful here. Blink and beads available, counter warding every step of the way, going towards the Fire Giant pit. That's exactly where they want to go. And there's the blink, there's the leap. There's the waiting Spreen, who's going to drop a little bit of damage on the Snatty. Leon just trying to get out of here. But the team, well, they're going to go ahead and take notes. They walked over. They're going to take this Fire Giant. At least they're going to try.
Yeah, that was some great patience by Leon, not dropping the Fear No Evil to survive, just trying to make sure he can interrupt this fire call, but I don't think that did much for them, and now the circle protection is still available.
Yeah, should be an easy pop. Great Gentleman get the Fire Giant. Spreen's low. Snatty gets the kill with a great cudgel, and he's going to be able to heal up. Not just Fire Giant buff, but the Somersault Cloud all on top of that. Makes it a lot easier here. Minions moving forward into the right-hand lane. They're getting aggressive onto the speed buff. Leon's going to go down, and the Great Gentlemen are looking to turn this one to a 3-game set. All they need to do is close out this Phoenix and try to go for the Titan. There's still 3 towers standing. It's going to be relatively tanky. They're going to have to play this carefully.
It's 5v3. I can't imagine they feel too confident running into the base right now. You still do have Charybdis 4-1. Death's Embrace finished. Already has the Silver Branch. A lot of AoE damage coming out of the ADC for Leoncitos. I think that, you know, smart call just to back it up. Get the towers. Try to catch up a little bit in the gold. Now they're ahead, obviously, after that power play. So just try to widen that gap a little bit. Smart play. I don't think the Titan call would have been a coin toss at best, which you don't want to go for with the game on the line.
No, your SCC spot on the line, going for a 50-50 at the very end. Even if you have the Fire Giant buff, I don't know, too shaky for me. And I don't even want to try to do the math on how bad you would feel afterward. So they're going to go ahead, fall back, get the 2 towers, get themselves a Phoenix, spin that gold up, and you can see like Rada Tahuti, there's a Compassion that gets purchased off. Temporal Beads finally getting picked up. A lot across the board for Great Gentlemen. And now, left-hand lane starting to look pretty appetizing, just trying to tear down those last 2 towers.
Yeah, it looks like Leoncitos are grouping for a possible pick here. They do not want to go with the 5v5. They want to look for Hydrogen. He has not spotted this out. There's no way, but I think his team might have warned him. Don't walk up there, man, just in case. So he's going to step back, but here comes the aggression.
Yeah, you have to be careful because it's not just, hey, can you spot them? Can you get away if they decide to go after you? There's going to be the ult, good damage, and immediately it's on to Leon, but Leon is trying to close that gap. Hydrogen takes a little bit of poke. Snoopy goes for the ult as well. That's a huge amount of drops on the side of Leoncitos, and they don't have much to show for it. Instead, it's Snoopy who gets caught out, couldn't disengage fast enough. Now Leon is so close to dead. He's going to be able to walk away, blink, make sure there's a little more gap. Tier 1 tower goes down. Spreen caught out by the walls and taken down 2 for none. And with 5 still on Fire Giant, they're running right past this Tier 2 and looking for more kills. If they get rid of Hurricane here, that might just be game. Hurry stays alive a little bit longer, but not long enough. Minions on the right-hand side helping them out. And this is going to be the walk-in Heed playing distraction factor, but they're not going to fall for it. Great Gentlemen walk into the Titan room. Circle of protection is down. Leon is dead. Heed, last man standing. And we're going to game number 3.
For me, the jungle difference, this is all it was. Obviously, Sada was playing very slow in that first game. Completely different story here. He was always getting active, always looking for that CC and that setup for his squad. He had crazy range with the Thoth and the Chiron in the backline, and as long as you're able to set up, just great play out of the jungler, ready to, you know, short memory, just played completely different game. Completely different Smite that time.
It's going to be fun to watch if they can keep that up. I mean, it was such a light and day. I mean, Leoncitos, they are close and partially in the lead for that game. Game number 1, they have a massive lead. We'll look at how they win game number 2 here and specifically look forward to what they need to do in game number 3 for Great Gentlemen and for Leoncitos to try and win this one and go to the SCC. One more game is all it takes, and it'll be right after this.
Time is
are all tied up here 1-1, which means there's only one game left. And that will determine which one of these two teams will go to the one of two spots that exists in the SCC. There's still a lot to be played throughout all of this. And that one, Charlie, it's a completely different story.
Right.
SATA doesn't exist in game number 1. SATA exists a lot more in game number 2. I mean, it very early on starts to get aggressive on this Cabrakan, open up a lot of the doors that the team needed.
Right.
And finally getting those stuns, getting more proactive to set up walls, and even at the end, it's just making huge plays for them.
Yeah, I mean, everyone looked better, but because your jungle looks better and is able to rotate over, impact all of these different lanes, it sort of just brought the whole team up together. I mean, if you're having your jungle that does nothing, as opposed to getting active all over the map, it's going to be a big morale boost at the very least for your whole squad.
Yeah, it keeps things feeling good. Tripno looks just nuts on this Thoth. Game 1, it was okay. Game 2, he's hitting a lot of what he's necessary. And it didn't really, last too long when you really get to see him like popping off, having these big ideas. But there was a certain point where the team just wanted to kill Snoopy, and for a long time it wasn't working throughout a majority of their fights, and then eventually something just clicked, and all of a sudden they were able to control him a lot more. Snatty had a really good set of rotations as well on this Wukong.
Yeah, I mean, Snatty, again, being able to get ahead, having a jungler that's going to help you out in these fights and just be able to dive and take some damage for you. This Wukong was able to just pop off, I think, top of the damage charts pretty much the whole game. Yeah. Once you get that Soul Eater online, without some crazy amounts of anti-heal, I mean, you pretty much just get to sustain through these fights so freely. With the Somersault Cloud, your dive potential just is inherently insane. So Snatty had a crazy game, and I think it all stems back to, again, SATA Dragon being able to just get more active and help out the whole squad.
We got to see it. I think it was early on. He'd actually got a solo kill against Snatty, so things changed drastically from the first few minutes to the very end of that. Hydrogen as well, you had called it. The build, maybe not standard for like carries, but as far as, hey, I'm going to ult you and it's going to kill you, he hit that one, 16.5k, which falls in comparison to the 17.8, which falls in comparison to the 20.4. The team was just putting up big damage numbers throughout all of that. And now it becomes the question of, okay, so where do you change things? It took a little while for the Hunbats to get online, and even then it wasn't online. I guess we'll find out. Picks and bans for game number 3 coming up right now, as it is going to be the Leoncitos once again in that first big position. What kind of things do you change here?
Well, if I'm Leoncitos, the Thoth obviously did not have too much success early game. I mean, the very first game, I should say, not early game.
Yeah.
The second game, completely different story. I think the amount of range they drafted with the Chiron ults, with the Thoth snipes, those sort of things, seemed a little bit oppressive, a little bit too much for them. They couldn't get to that backline effectively. Even if Leon could get into the back, get some beads from the Thoth, we never really saw that return kill at the other forefront. So maybe that range is a little something you want to deal with. This time, though, they're sticking to that Zeus. And they're going with the Kali ban. Once again, they didn't ban it last game. Didn't even get picked. But this time they are going to ban it away, which, I guess that's their thought process here.
A lot of deja vu. Zeus, Kali, Fenrir, that was the same. It was Serket, the Bastet, except last time they were flopped. Now the Persephone is going to be up there, so Leoncito's not going to be able to get that one. Now the question is, what do they feel like first picking? Cabrakan has been at the very top of that list for a lot of this, but see, Amaterasu, she has been very popular, but a 45% win rate, Charlie, and hasn't been winning a whole ton of all the games she's been. But at the same time, it's close enough to 50 that you're really kind of up in the air.
Yeah, I definitely expected that Cabrakan to be more prioritized. Of course, Great Gentleman just had a great game on it, so they value it much more than Leoncitos did. At the very least, I'm thinking if they went back to the drawing board and they said, we don't have to take this Cabrakan away because we're going to have an answer for it. Amaterasu does come with a silence, can interrupt those tremors, but you can get walled off pretty easily as well, so it's going to be a little bit of a double-edged sword in that regard. But Double Guardian picked right away for Great Gentleman, getting the Fafnir Draconic Transformation. If I'm them, I'm looking to draft some auto attackers to get buffed by that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it feels like you not necessarily box yourself in, but you definitely want to push into it, lean into it. Even though I think lean into it, unfortunately, did get knocked out earlier, so that's not going to be... that's not good for me. Either way, Hu Yi gets locked in here. Tiamat, once again. Now, the Hu Yi, we've talked about this a lot. Snoopy's Hu Yi is just different than pretty much any other competitive Hu Yi. The Tiamat, earlier today, impressed. Last game left me kind of wanting for more.
Yeah, get into that much range, it's very difficult to get as much damage as you can off, and the Thoth is going to be locked in again, so your work's going to be cut out for you right now if you are a Spree, and you have so much range to overcome. You're going to have to be putting your damage into these tanky Guardians that are diving you right now, because there's no way you should be close enough to Thoth to really output all of your DPS, but On the flip side, Tiamat, just a relatively safe pick. She can do her damage. She farms well, as we saw. So I don't hate it at all. It's just going to be difficult to really get to that Thoth right now so far in this draft.
Well, the Mercury gets the respect this time around, is banned out again by the great gentleman. Charybdis is going to get some respect, even though it's been played by Snoopy each time, recognizing that he doesn't want to deal with that. Being able to make yourself CC immune and just in general damage immune, let's block that away for a little while so I can get these stuns off. Daji, and then the Chiron is the last man there. So a lot of interesting ones that, I mean, immediately slow down the jungle for Leoncitos. But there's a lot of interesting options still available to him. I'm wondering what he's going to go here, especially with Medusa locked in.
Yeah, I mean, Medusa, a pick that's been prioritized heavily by pretty much everyone who's playing Smite right now. I mean, Medusa just brings so much with that AoE ultimate. Her lane presence is always pretty sick. And the Chiron and the Charybdis being banned before that seem pretty questionable, but at this point, if you have an answer for it and you're saying, hey, we've already seen this Chiron, it brings a lot of range, they already have the Thoth, we want to just pick a god that we can kill. Medusa, you can kill, blocking that dash pretty effective, but this looks to me, Gore, like a Nike jungle out of El Leon, which we have definitely not seen for quite some time.
I'm trying to remember the last time I saw it, and I genuinely do not have an answer for you. A Nike, I mean, hey, she can jump.
Yeah.
She can disrupt the backline. She stays alive a lot.
Her passive buffs her whole team as the game goes on. She's definitely has her uses, but
you bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, not that hard carry jungler that we would have expected here with the game on the line. But I will say, triple dive comp right here with the Ganesh if he is able to go in, but he could also stay back and peel while Nike and Amaterasu are able to engage here. So it looks like they want aggression. They want something tanky to get on top of this Thoth because they couldn't kill it last game. To me, it looks like they've made the adjustments. Will they be able to execute? That's the question.
Yeah, that's going to be the heavy hitter for them. If this Nike's going to look good, if this Amaterasu is going to be able to accomplish what they want, we'll find out in game number 3. SCC on the line for these two teams. All it takes is a win. And again, at this point, I think it goes to say that it's going to be upsetting that neither of these teams are going to be able to make it in. But we'll see who earns their spot the old-fashioned way here in this bracket. Takes one of the last 2 remaining North American slots. And actually, just one of the last 2 remaining SCC slots in general. We got all of Europe finished yesterday. And it's this Nike, man.
Yep.
I'm going to keep looking at it. Like, Ganesh, I know what Ganesh's lane is like. Everything else in this game makes sense, and we've seen it. Nike Jungle is going to be a fun one to watch come either to fruition or to watch falter, depending on how Leon is able to do this game.
Yeah, I think all eyes for me right now are on the junglers of both of these squads. I mean, Nike is going to have some success at level 5, obviously a very safe pick in her own right, has a lot of damage. At the least in the early game, late game sort of falls off depending on how you want to build her. So if we're going on scaling alone, I gotta give that to Kabrakan, able to stun out just so much of Nike's damage. But getting very aggressive early game once again is Hydrogen. Snoopy getting poked out here, gonna have to jump away. Beautiful place, but obviously the Medusa's gonna want to do that no matter what.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be something that maybe is a little not uncommon for great gentlemen being able to get a good aggressive start to this. Ganesh isn't known for their pushing prowess. Ho Yi kind of can, not necessarily early on. We'll see where those ricochets end up. Especially because like all these little entrances, all these little places that Snoopy can bounce off of and make things a little more interesting does make it fun to watch. Hurrywin goes in, and that's a jump in from Snoopy. They want to fight. They block off the dash. One more auto is all they need, and I feel like that one actually gets gifted over from Hurry, and they get the kill on the Hydrogen.
Yeah, just a beautiful double bounce by Snoopy, able to block the dash of Medusa. This is what I was talking about. I think this is the reason they banned the Charybdis and the Chiron, just picks that want to clear and run away. I think Snoopy thinks he's better than Hydrogen. He's got the ego plays, and he wants to go in. He's saying, hey, pick a god that I can solo. I want to be fighting this guy on cooldown. So that was a big brain play. Jumping in, get the beautiful double bounce. First blood for Leoncitos.
Oh, but second blood goes over to Snatty. A nice little 1v1 solo kill. Beads early from Heed. It wasn't enough to pull that one back. Snatty just plays it pretty much as clean as you would want. So balancing things out, I guess, across the map, right? A good early kill for Snoopy. Balanced by Snatty on the other side to help kind of, I want to say keep things equal. We'll see if it actually ends up working out that way. So we had mentioned the junglers. Now it's been anything but the jungle.
Yeah, but it looks like the junglers might have a little bit of a skirmish here as El Leon goes for this red buff in bait. Spotted out by Sada. I think he is going to just steal that one away, and they're going to have to run after that.
Well, and Sada accidentally picks it up in the process of trying to control that, so Tripno, maybe a free speed buff in his future coming up. But other than that, you get the buff, right? I think that's the big deal at the end of the day. You get the experience from the buff, which is going to be important. You're already trailing just a little bit here if you're Sada. Which is not like a huge amount, level 3 to level 4. I imagine he's going to tick up relatively soon. Snoopy looks for some more damage. Autos are there.
I think Snoopy thought his ricochet was going to bounce a little bit differently. Kind of just shot him back in the face on that one. I think if he did read the dash a little bit better as the escape route he took, I think he probably could have been able to find a different kill there. But still, I think you're pretty happy with just looking at that purple buff, showing some face, and making sure you know, hey, that purple buff's never going to be coming to you for free. We're going to be at this, and we have some pressure in this duo lane.
And, I mean, at this point, look, when you're a Medusa, Fafnir, and a Ganesh, plus literally anything outside of, like, an Izanami is out clearing you, or at least putting pressure on you, and something's gone wrong for you early on. Hydrogen felt that. And I like that they're playing it relatively carefully, right? Hydrogen hasn't really stepped up since we saw Snoopy go in and block that dash. With Hurry, especially after this lane, potentially, or this wave, potentially going to be able to take over to 5. That'll be a big deal. Leon's here as well. The jump in should be good. The blink's a little bit better, and they might have the slow. No, they're going for the leap, the body block, the shield, the control. But unfortunately for them, Hydrogen's just going to be able to find the one path to slither out, and instead, it's Sada Dragon. Snoopy, who had leapt in, is now in trouble. There's the shielding, but is it enough? No! The carry's not saved, and that's a second one for Hydrogen. The stun comes through, the big ult, and he puts a little statue in lane. I think they already broke it.
That was just such a sick stun by Monster Bomber, man. I don't think that Hydrogen would have been able to dash out unless he stunned that push from Nike. Once the stun happened, he was able to displace himself. Obviously, they overcommitted. Then Sada Dragon rotates in. Just a sick play. You love to highlight the support, not the big flashy support ultimates, but just those little stuns that are able to change these engagements. Clutch hammer by Monster Bomber.
And little things like that. I mean, we got to see a couple of them, I want to say, from Hurry last game. But nowhere near to that level where it turns around the double kill. Which is a huge deal to get. After getting first blooded, Hydrogen with the 2-1 slash line feels more confident in their capabilities. Snoopy's gone for something a little different here. And, you know, the Crusher, I mentioned it last time, very, very common. Jotun's Wrath, I mean, it fits from what we've expected out of Hou-Yi in the past, but it's not something that is very common.
Definitely not common in the SEC that we've seen, at least in this qualifying tournament. However, I have seen Snoopy go this very same build on stream.
Yep.
I think he just values the absolute burst you can put out if you're hitting those ricochets effectively, making sure your ult's off cooldown, your jump's off cooldown, etc. So I think he just values the 1v1 so much. He's saying, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to hit these unexpected ricochets. They're going to do a lot of damage. Obviously, Crusher is going to give the same amount of flat pen, but the cooldown, I think, is what he really wants. Those ults constantly being up is what he's looking for.
Well, there's another example of a ricochet gone wrong. Bounces off the wall, maybe not the angle he thought it would. But it really does pay off. I mean, you know, you get so used to certain Hou-Yi timers, when Mark of the Golden Crow being up a little more often, being able to have those ricochets, the leaps, like you said, makes him a different beast to try and tackle. Spreen, as well, a different beast to try and tackle here. Hydrogen did just use the ult. Beat's still available there. Oh, that acid spray does a lot. But not enough to find the kill. Snoopy manages to get on out of this one just fine. Well, fine is a maybe not the right term. Yeah. He goes back to base and he's alive. So he's happy to at least maintain that status.
I'm sure he wanted to stay for that wave. Definitely going to miss out on a few minions here just because of that poke that he ended up taking. Obviously, would have been nice if he could have just stayed there, but a big minion is going to be his saving grace here. Only ends up missing one. Luckily, it wasn't a small one. Then he probably could have lost all 3. Staying relatively even in this lane, but Medusa with Crusher right now is going to be constantly poking him out unless he lands those clutch ricochets.
Yeah, he's going to have to be very careful where he stands as well. Look at Sada Dragon on the map. He, I think, just walked over a ward, so should be known about. I think you can see Snoopy isn't getting too aggressive in lane. And it's just going to be Oracle Harpies overall, so not the end of the world for, I think, either team being able to pick that up. But 2,000 lead, almost. It's about 1,500 right now for Great Gentlemen. And that 7 minutes in, first off, it's bigger than anything we got to see this time last game. But it means a lot for them. If they can maintain this status, it's all going to be up to whether or not Snatty can get out. It seems to be the answer for that is yes. Doesn't get the blue buff. but at least stays alive. Hurry might not have the same luxury, though. Darmic Pillars have been dropped, and they're at least getting a little bit of work in. Hurry staying alive for now. The damage is out, and they need a big rotation. Yi coming around the corner. Spreen able to get one. Tripno has no health, no mana, no life anymore. Taken down and in the ground. And Monster Bomber trying to run, but slowed by the Suns. Gets a good stun onto Heed. Might disengage. No, Heed once more. Goes for the ult. Gets the kill, and they tie this game up 4-4.
Yeah, great heads-up play by Heed, making sure to cover the option there just in case they were able to get out. Obviously, Monster Bomber holding his dash or the jump until the very last second, but still just not able to close that gap. Too many members of Leoncitos have made the rotation, but Snatty is doing a lot of damage right now. He was able to free farm, and he did not have to rotate over. So the level 10 Wukong has the completed Rune Forge. Right now, he's going to be outpoking pretty much anyone that steps up to him.
And that, honestly, could be free sometimes in some of these fights. Also, oh, never mind. It threw me off. I saw 2 tier 1 items back to back on Heed, and my mind was trying to figure out why they were, and he just put Death Soul in the wrong slot. And I'm going to say it exactly that way. It's the wrong spot for it to be in, just intrinsically. Out of principle, I guess, more than anything. But so far, that 2-level lead for Snatty, like you said, maybe making a bigger difference. Back on track and back on rails here. Not a big gap between the mid laners. Not really that large between the carries, as we see Snoopy catch up to that level 10. And not too much behind, but still a little behind for Leon. And so, you know, a very successful fight there. Still 1,000 gold that they have to figure out how to make up for.
Yeah, right now I think Heat has the right mindset where despite being down, maybe I give up some farm, I'm going to rotate over and make sure my whole team is able to pick up these assists, these kills I'll rotate over for, because Snatty right now is pretty much just annoying. You can't really poke him out with any sort of Amma abilities. You want to have to use everything on the wave, and he's just going to heal up. He finished his Soul Eater at this point, so Snatty is pretty much unfightable, I would say, if you're Heat. So making the rotations over when you can, helping out your squad, it's going to put you a little bit behind in the long run, but I think it's going to net you about even when you're helping out your team in that regard.
Yeah, something you're going to have to think about, I think, in like you said, with your team, right? When the team fights 5-on-5s, Gold Fury spawned up. We saw a lot of emphasis around the Fury last game for both of these teams. They spent quite a while hanging out trying to figure out how to get that objective. A lot of pings coming out as well. It seems like Monster Bomber could get caught out. It's just the whether or not they can find the stuns. Same thing there for Snoopy. Snoopy almost able to get the ricochet for the stun. Tripno, Satyr Dragon. They're on this side of the map. Fire Giant comes into the board, and that's going to just change very slightly where these teams are looking. Right now it's Oracle Harpies. Maybe it's Leon if he's too far, but everybody feels a little safe right now.
Yeah, both ADCs just traded ults, but Sada's doing huge amounts of damage to Leon, forcing into the ultimate there. He's going to have to back off at this point. I do not think Leoncitos want to fight right now. Satyr Dragon is just doing crazy amounts of damage, and that Nike just cannot match it right now.
Good call from Leon to get out of there as fast as possible. Better from Hurry. Good silences. Make sure that nobody's going to be able to continue that chase. Heat is in a precarious position. But they're going to be able to make it out of there. Nothing insane happening build-wise. Nothing crazy. Although, I will say, I guess, I don't know if new Relic is the best way to describe it, but something fresh for Monster Bomber here. Early on, quick upgrade. And compared to what we've seen out of everything, like Entangling Weans has not really been, I think I've seen it twice this year, maybe?
I'm a big fan. Every time I use it, I yell root sprint just to let everyone know what's happening because most people haven't seen it. Entangling Wings, obviously, the sprint upgrade that is going to root everyone in the small area that you proc it and make sure that they can't chase you. Probably have to force a beats or a jump because just getting stunned by a relic, rooted in place by a relic is something that most people are definitely not used to. It catches you by surprise, so I think it might be a clutch item where you don't really expect it. Maybe you stop a push or maybe you continue to chase, things like that. When you're not expecting it, can be really clutch in these fights.
I mean, and like you just said, most people don't expect it. Like, it'd be interesting to see Leoncitos. Again, a lot of these guys play a lot of ranked, so they've probably seen it once or twice. But, like, realistically, it's not a relic you're going to find out in 98, maybe higher, 99% of your games. So it'll be fun to watch how they handle that. Especially because you already think of Fafnir, where he's got a good stun, he's got a good leap, he has good engage. He's going to be able to find people to root down. And getting a leap away from Snoopy makes it so much easier for Sada, for somebody else, Snatty, to jump in and all of a sudden find the kill, the chase down they need to pick some up on the side of Leoncitos.
Yeah, and now Snatty using this big lead of his to just get aggressive in the mid lane. However, Spreen trading back some solid damage here. Of course, Tripno on this pick, juked out, luckily, by that final judgment, but now a fight is going to break out here.
Aegis had been used anyway. Snatty up on the somersault cloud is looking to jump back down. Hurry joins the rest of the crew, but it's Snatty once again who manages to knock up a few, or at least control a few with that damage. He, Snoopy, Leon, all of them just relaxing in the mid lane. They don't get the left harpies, they get the right harpies. And Great Gentlemen start to run straight towards the Gold Fury. Now we can see they're not starting it up. They are going to walk across a couple of wards, positioning known from Leoncitos as they get aggressive here. Tripno aims to be the target. Heed manages to get aggressive, get forward. No teams are going to get the Fury, and they're going to fall back.
I'm just looking at how much damage Spreen is able to put out right now. The Spear of the Magus Divine Ruin build. Tiamat, for me, finally online. Able to do so much when you can free cast. But it looks like neither team really feeling too confident here, obviously. It's still a 5v5. Best confirm on the map is the final judgment, I would say. But there's always a ricochet chance from Snoopy, of course, and the stuns and the Dharmic Pillars are going to create this toss-up effect where can you even get this damage off? Is the Gold Fury going to be free anymore? Do you want to win the fight afterwards? So just too many variables right now. Both teams are going to go back to farming. Small lead, though, for Great Gentlemen.
Yeah, at this point, I keep forgetting to look up at it. It's 1,200. It's been hovering around this 1K mark for a little while. The 2K experience probably means a little bit more. Steadily climbing and kind of hovering around there. And, you know, across everybody maybe means a level lead, and pretty much every single area you can see one in solo, one in jungle, missing one in mid, and kind of even in the duo lane. So realistically, it is the right-hand side of the map kind of pulling that weight in terms of the experience. A lot of that's on Snatty. You had mentioned it earlier, but he's been kind of a menace on this Wukong.
Yeah, and right now the menace I'm looking at is what El Leon did with his build. He's already been aggressed upon by Sada Dragon so much, picked up the Ancile, so boom, every time he gets stunned, he's going to get CC'd away. Sada Dragon kind of getting screwed over by it now and have to back up.
And wow, barely makes it out. Might not even. Leon blink forward, good walls, and actually used defensively. Blocks off Leon, but another leap closes the gap. One hit, two hits, and the jungler goes down, but did Leon overcommit to get that one? The shield is good, but not good enough. Tripno closes the gap, gets the kill. Hurry is too deep. Is trying to run away, but is not going to get out of here this time. Monster Bomber jumps forward, looking to stun anyone and everyone in their way. Great Gentlemen are on a tear right now. Maybe they're going to turn around. Spreen, Snoopy, both low. Both look like they might be able to get out of here. Good Aegis from Snoopy, but now it's Heat who's rotated in. 3 dead on the side of Great Gentlemen, and Snoopy is still going. Snatty's clone dies. Snatty himself calls off the run. The 2 frontliners still alive for Great Gentlemen, while the backliners keep things going for Leoncitos.
I'm just going to call it. That was Jotun's Wrath right there for Snoopy. His dive bomb came off cooldown right at the second he needed it to be able to jump out of there. Snatty probably had like a few more seconds on the cudgel, was able to finish that kill. Clutch cooldown build, obviously, for helping Snoopy live there. And of course, he was not there at the beginning of the fight, so it was looking a little bit grim, but able to come in, rotate a little bit late, but able to help pick off Tripno with a little bit of help from Spreen. So pretty even trade in that regard. Leoncitos obviously happy with the turnaround, but still, no one confident enough to pull this Gold Fury.
Honestly, I feel like that's just hung over from last game, right? Like they spent so long dancing around the Primal. I feel like they're just still doing that dance. It's just kind of shifted around the map a few times. It's going to be started up here. Leoncitos are the ones to call it on. Monster Bomber sees them. They leash it for a second there, I think accidentally. Right around the corner is Hydrogen. He's going to go up, and Great Gentlemen do take that one away. And now it's up to the Leoncitos to try and find some sort of kills. It was the final judgment that stripped it away. It's Hydrogen, the first one to fall, and they want more. Tripno will pay for the steal, but no, he manages to stay just far out of there, the tier 2, being able to body block Snoopy. Instead, the one to fall, Leon has to leap away, and Tripno is back to dealing the damage necessary. Monster Bomber looking for stuns, Sada Dragon looking for kills, not able to find them. Hurrywin finally goes down because of Snatty, but it's Tripno picking up a little more heed. Makes this one go all for even, and if this kill goes the way Snatty wants it to, it is going to be a 4 for 4 trade. 2 people left standing on the map.
Just the death toll procs barely keeping him alive. Leon doing the smart play here, trying to get as much farm as he can. Obviously not looking too great, but that was quite the swing. Obviously you did not account for that final judgment, or maybe thought they could just outburst it. Clutch steal from Tripno right now, keeping them, making sure that gold lead continues to climb for Great Gentlemen. But on the flip side, Snatty is getting so much farm. This man is going to be level 20 before long, just getting to free farm this left side of the map.
Yeah, so far, Snatty has been the just pinnacle of farm this game, right? I mean, Snatty has been perpetually ahead by 2 levels for 10 minutes, which is impressive to maintain. Great Gentleman, man, with a Gold Fury like that, Trelly, you go up, finally 2,500, you get something that gives you a substantial lead. Of course, now there's going to be this whole Pyromancer mess that makes things a little more awkward for whether or not you're actually going to have as massive of a lead. That's Monster Bonker. Yeah, they have something to say. No, okay, Pyromancer goes towards Leoncitos.
Yep, they are going to be able to confirm that one, but look at how much damage. That was only one Hieroglyphic Assault coming out of Tripno right now. Snoopy obviously tanked up a little bit of that Pyromancer damage, but still, this Thoth is chunking at the moment. Not to say that everyone isn't chunking right now. I mean, Snatty specifically, looking at this Wukong damage is kind of nuts. He's level 19. On the flip side, he is staying relatively close, level 18. Still, though, this 5-0 Wukong, I think, needs to be looked at right now from Leoncitos, or he is going to just be pumping out crazy damage numbers.
He keeps getting into the back line. I'm going to just say too easily. I think it is uncomfortable how often he has been able to get back there. And it's not uncomfortable for me, uncomfortable for Spreen, for Snoopy, and a little bit for Leon there whenever Snatty is able to get back there. I think he was the one who chased down the kill onto Hurrywind during that last engagement. So Snatty has definitely been, like you said, a huge factor. 5-0-2, 7 out of 10 kills. He has been affecting a ton of them. What's interesting to me is this positioning on the map, because if you see, there's a lot of members of Great Gentlemen either in mid or right, like kind of around where the Fire Giant could be fighting. Everybody else on Leoncitos, they're over here in the left lane. It's because Leon wants a little bit more. Good stun onto Hydrogen from Snoopy, and the chase down is going to be there. They drop all of the ults, but the leap is good enough. And they kill him off. Let's see if they can pull anything back. Great Gentleman trying to start a fight in mid, but the damage, the silence, the Dharmic Pillars, Tripno forced to run away, but the Aegis runs out. The beads are used to try and run from Heed, but it's not enough. And now they are on the tear they've been looking for all game long. Monster Bomber goes into the dragon form. That immunity going to help him out just a little bit. And they're turning around just enough to make this fight worthwhile for them. That's a double kill for the support of all people. Snoopy jumps into the fray looking for the damage, and it seems to be there between him, between Leon, Snatty versus the two. Who will come out on top? Can they get the deicide once again? 4-4-4, and Leon jumps away to make sure it stays this way, but Snatty has something else in mind. Will he be the last man standing? All 9 fall, and Snatty's the last one left.
It just seems like all of these fights go the same exact way, where Leoncitos are able to find great success early, but this fed Wukong, who just does way too much damage, is healing off of every single ability, able to just stall it out until he can poke off every single ability, and then Snatty's the last man standing. This time, Leon does not get to get that free farm, and now I'm thinking they're looking towards that Fire Giant. No one but Hurrywind is able to contest at the moment.
Yeah, start it up, get it going, finally find yourselves a lead. This is for the SCC, spot available. And now, almost 4,000 golden lead. Get this Fire Giant, might as well call it way more than that. What they're going to be able to pick up. But can you get that Fire Giant? Dharmic Pillars get dropped. Hurry has something else in mind. Not able to take it, though. Great Gentlemen. All 5 with Fire Giant, and they get out of there. They get to reset, come back in, ready to fight.
Yeah, just unfortunate. Hurry did have to build so much defense here. We've seen a lot of these Ganeshes pick up a Divine Ruin, some sort of flat pen item just to buff the Dharmic Pillar steal potential, the DPS potential at the very least. It was pretty close, but just with that full tank build right now, I don't think that he was doing quite as much damage as he wanted to. Either way, he was trying to pick up a kill on Snatty. That would have been a great 7-0 shutdown, but now the weight of the world on your shoulders, because this is going to be a very difficult comeback. Great Gentlemen still have that lead they've been accruing. They have the Fire Giant buff. They still have this Undying Wukong, who is 7-0, probably going to upgrade his starter here soon. It's going to be very difficult for Leoncitos to find some footing here on this push.
Speaking of upgrading your starter, someone you would not think in a position to do that so early, Monster Bomber just now gets the Sentinel's boon, so he's able to upgrade his. It's that level 17, 3 levels up from Hurrywind. Very even game up till a few minutes ago. And it's all Snatty. Look, if I'm watching this, I understand SCC, they still have a lot of room before they can actually confirm that that spot is theirs. I'm already starting to think about banning Snatty's Wukong in the future. Like, it's not going to happen for Leoncitos. Someone's going to figure it out. SOC, SCC, wherever they end up, don't let this man have it.
Yeah, at this point, he's just doing way too much. Too late to ban it away. The game has started, and this is the last chance you get. So you're gonna have to figure out a way to deal with it because those picks and bans are over. Obviously, this tier 2 tower being looked at by by Great Gentleman. Leoncitos are watching it fall as they are just looking at all the gold that is going to be going the way of the Great Gentleman. They still have 2 more tier 2s to go for. Don't feel too confident. They're not going to run into the Phoenix room just yet. Still some level 20s to tick over, obviously.
Yeah, just trying to get, at this point, you're looking for the last little bit of farm that you can pick up on the map. And you know what? Something like a Primal Fury that falls right into that category. They're going to be able to get that one leveling up. He's just watching level 20 there for Sada Dragon, still looking to get Hydrogen to 20. It blows my mind, Tripno, the impact that they've had on this game, and they are on par with Monster Bomber, which I think it speaks to what Monster Bomber is doing in terms of farm, not Tripno. Maybe it does speak a little bit to Tripno's farm overall. 2 levels down in mid. So maybe sacrificing some of that for his jungler. Either way, it's been an impactful game. 1.5 minutes left on the power play. Still 1 tower standing, and it looks like they're going for the light attempt.
Yeah, for a Thoth pick, you're not really seeing as much damage as you would expect, but I think that's just because his team has been doing so much. Tripno has been getting focused out pretty early. Obviously, Snatty left out on the cleanup pretty much exclusively right now, so lots of low HP targets, and then you just let your Wukong finish him off. Still, though, not to say it's very easy to survive on the Thoth pick, even with how much peel they have drafted on the Great Gentleman roster. Obviously, Sada Dragon still on this Cabrakan, this Guardian-style jungle, 2 and 4 as well. So a pick like Cabrakan dying just as much as your Thoth. I think you're playing just fine, though, because, again, this 7-0 Wukong is here to pick up the pieces.
Let's see if he can say 7-0. This might be... Who am I kidding? It's Wukong. I don't even know why I started like this was going to be something that Snatty needs to be worried about. He's got beads, he's got ult, and he's got dash. He's more than happy to stay alive here. The ult's going to be down, though, so at least one of those things finally gets burned away from him. It feels like this is that weird spot. Your Fire Giant's going to wear off in 20 seconds, and you have a minute left to set up for the fight. But, Trelly, they get the towers... And it doesn't feel like, even though Great Gentlemen have this massive lead, now, over 10,000 gold, it doesn't feel that way, right? Some of these fights still feel like they're a coin flip.
No, they were definitely a coin flip. 4 for 4 is pretty much exclusively, except that one time where Snatty was able to finish off El Leon. Then you just get the return and you can pull fire so easily. It's 15 to 15, though, Gore. The gold lead is there. The kills have been relatively even, but right now, you still have a few more power spikes. Obviously, Snatty did just finish off that Bluestone upgrade, so now that's pretty much as strong as this Wukong is going to get, barring maybe some 3k elixirs. So you have that in mind. It's like, hey, guys, if we survive this assault, that guy's not going to get any stronger. But you still have to worry about the 5v5 Fire Giant fight where your team is not quite caught up in the build department.
Yeah, 5v5s, admittedly, haven't actually been that great for either team lately. But unfortunately, last time around, opened up Great Gentleman for a Fire Giant, thanks to Snatty. The only person in this lobby still undying. We'll see if he can end it that way, because look at this positioning. He wants to get to the backline. Hurrywind is going to take a little bit of damage. Snoopy stuns out Snatty, but again, it's a Wukong, so he's out of there. And he's managed to stay alive a little bit longer. Fire Giant going to be going into his animation here soon. So he will be alive, and Great Gentleman can start it up.
Yeah, all eyes are going to have to be on Tripno. Obviously, stole away the Gold Fury last time. Well, not last Gold Fury specifically, but the last steal we saw. The confirm on the flip side, still Tripno's fault here. He's going to have to make sure these final judgments are on par with being able to confirm this Fire Giant, or they're just going to bait them in and look for a pick. Snatty, though, taking a good bit of damage.
Sada Dragon going to be the one who's caught out. Sun's dropped. There's the Dharmic Pillars. They don't have enough to close it down. He makes it into the back, gets a good stun, gets a good kill, but trades out his life for the process. Snatty in the backline is causing too much trouble. The Hydrogen seems to be the name of the game. El Leon going in as far as possible, but is not going to live through this one. This might be their hopes of the SCC falling away. Someone has to go big. Snoopy still alive and still healthy. Relics available for him. As the rest of the team falls behind, they slowed down and stopped this Fire Giant. But it's still a 2-for-1. 30 seconds before Heat is back. 40 for Leon.
I don't think this 4v3 they're too worried about now. They have a lot of damage. The Dragon form is here. They're going to be able to shred this down pretty easily. It doesn't look like there's any sort of ultimates available to steal this, but Hurrywind's Dharmic Pillars could be ticking. Snoopy fighting Snatty in the back!
And he gets it! He finally shuts him down! 7-1 and 6. And then, great gentlemen, they do still manage to get themselves the Fire Giant. Thought Hurry might have been able to steal that one away. Trip nose low. They're not able to close out anymore. At least you get the kill and the shutdown. 45 seconds, and specifically 2 members without the Fire Giant. Feels a lot better than what has been going on. Oh, but the numbers, Trelly. 10K still in favor of Great Gentlemen. Still a lot of work to be done for Leoncitos to make sure that their path doesn't end here.
Yeah, the pain really starts when you look at Hurrywin and El Leon's build specifically. Neither of them have that much damage to get offline yet. Looks like El Leon trying to get a Heartseeker online. I think Hurrywin at this point has lost FG to 2 possible steals, so I think some damage might be in his future as well, just trying to do a little bit more for his team. But right now, these fights were not terrible. You shut down the biggest threat, the biggest thorn in your side, in my eyes, was with Snatty in this Wukong pick.
Yeah.
Breastplate was upgraded, Bluestone was upgraded, and Snoopy was still able to shut him down. So a good chunk of gold going Snoopy's way. But you still have to deal with this 5v5 Phoenix Siege with the Fire Giant buff for the first time. You have not had to defend under your Phoenix just yet this whole game. So I think you get as much farm as you can and then bunker down and hope that your whole team's on point here.
Now, when they get to the Phoenix defense, who is it? Like, who's the big player? There's a lot of like big AOEs on the side of Leoncitos, but is there like one person that gets to step up, or does their Phoenix defense not look great?
I mean, once the Suns get dropped, you pretty much just have to back off there. Snoopy, I think, just doing a little bit too much damage in that regard. But once Shadow Dragon goes in, he's kind of a free target. I mean, without that one available, you don't really have any sort of slow immunity. The Suns get dropped. He pretty much has to eat the full brunt of that damage. We're about to see what they do here.
Well, there's the Suns that get dropped, and guess what? Shadow Dragon's in the back onto Snoopy, but takes way too much in the process. Gets burned down. The Phoenix is traded out. So jungle for Phoenix is what they opt for. Great Gentleman now trying to dash away. Monster Bomber is getting slowed and controlled, but does manage to get out of there. A big stun out of Hydrogen stops the push forward from most of Leoncitos, but Leon himself is trying to close that gap. Luckily, it seems that stun has done its work. They pop the Frenzy, and it's going to fall off without having helped too much. They get a Primal, and Snatty, he's playing a little cheeky Wukong, and with the rest of the team and Fire Giant, this could still be a big fight.
Yeah, it looks like they do sort of want to fight this. Great Gentlemen, they might just go for this goal for themselves. I don't think Leoncitos feel too confident anymore. They wanted to chase until they turned around. They're like, wait, you guys aren't running? Okay, maybe we'll dial it back a little bit. Snatty, though, finally taking some good damage in this whole game.
That's Silver Branch. Snoopy picked it up. Seems like it's doing a little bit of work for him. They go for the stun, but not able to catch up the bird form. So Snatty gets out, but he loses all his relics, his ult. Maintains that 7-1 and 6. They're trying to tank that Wukong KDA as much as possible. And also, if you're talking about it, I mean, you lose one Phoenix, and that hurts. But admittedly, you slow things down and burn to now just under a minute of Fire Giant left on the side of Great Gentlemen. So that power play going to disappear pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, if right now if I'm Leoncitos, I am power farming as much as I can. I'm sending anyone who doesn't have an upgraded starter to that left lane to defend those fire minions, saying, hey, you need to get online right now because we're going to have an enhanced Fire Giant fight soon, and that's where the game is going to be on the line. So get everything you need, get all the farm you can, and then get ready to make some plays. So it looks like Snoopy is going to be the one who's pushing these waves, as well as Spreen, just trying to get some farm online. Hurrywin looking to build into a Pridwin, which I definitely think will help out. I mean, or it could have been, yeah, the Pridwin seems like the likely choice.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're just trying, and finally El Leon gets that Heartseeker. I've been waiting for this because right now, Nike just seems like a big CC bot. Without these items online, she's not doing crazy amounts of damage. Heartseeker gonna help out a ton.
We did just see, I think, the Jotun's Ferocity picked up there by Snoopy. And, you know, it's funny because earlier today I was talking about how we don't get to see the glyphs too often, and I can already see just at a glance two that are big on this on the board right now. That is going to be a very interesting one. Of course, upgraded starters are starting to come into this, but that Jotun's Ferocity, which is, yeah, going to allow him to do a little bit more in terms of damage. And speaking of marked enemies, you can't have something, I think, better for a Hou Yi.
It looks like they're sticking around here just to try to go for a cheeky Phoenix play if someone pushes the wave. Enhanced Fire Giant still about to spawn in. They have some time, but I don't think they realize how many people still are grouped around this obelisk.
EFG. That is a huge deal at this point. First time he'll be able to pick it up, and honestly, maybe the first time all week. No, there's been a couple that have gone into the 30-minute mark, but nowhere near as much as we're used to seeing. So we're going to go ahead and we get a peek see at this. And stripping away those backdoor protections, look, with 2 Phoenixes remaining, and now probably 3, considering how far pushed up that left-hand lane is. That's going to be necessary for Great Gentleman to break the base. 12,000 gold, 32.5 minutes in. The Fire Giant comes crashing down for what could be the last time this game. SCC still on the line for these two teams. Whoever wins goes in. Whoever loses, well, they have to figure out what they want to do. If it's SOC, they disband. How they play it, that'll be up to them. But they won't be fighting in the NA SCC, at least early on this year. It's all going to be around this FG.
And it looks like Hurrywin drops the Dharmic Pillars very early, gets pretty much nothing. I mean, Great Gentlemen just have to wait for these fire minions to push in. The Tiamat minions were kind of matching that pressure for a little bit, but that Phoenix is going to have to go down soon. I mean, come up soon, and then those minions will bring it down unless someone goes to defend. That's when the 4v5 is going to occur. That's when the Great Gentlemen are going to slap that go button, and it's just a matter of time before that big wave pushes in.
Yeah, that's a massive fire wave to have to deal with, and that's not even the last fire wave. There's another one behind it. And it looks like Leon was backing for a little bit, but they call it off. I think willing to take a little bit of damage. Fire Giant has been started by Great Gentlemen. They're trying to look for the fight themselves. Hurry, Heed standing in the front. Leon looking for the B line to the back line. Will he be able to find it? Heed pulls attention over there. Heed takes way too much damage and might have to back out of this fight. Good if they want to defend, and even better if they get rid of Tripno. Now they have an opening to get aggressive. Someone needs to stop these fire minions. That Phoenix might as well. No, it's just gone now.
Yeah, there's no way. There's so many minions there. And that Phoenix is definitely going to drop here. They try to send someone back. Leon made the call. Hey, I'm going to stay. We need to get this enhanced Fire Giant. What's one Phoenix? They did get the pick on Trip. No final judgment off the table. This enhanced Fire Giant needs to be looked at by Leoncitos right now, and then they could counter push in left lane if they do confirm it, but you still have 4 members of Great Gentlemen posturing around this Fire Giant.
Here's the one that's been causing you so much trouble. Snatty takes a lot more damage. This time good stun from Snoopy keeps him in the battle. And there's going to be the Somersault Cloud. Good disengage. That's what Wukong's known for. He's at least going to live through all these engagements. He's been just doing a little too much alongside that, I think, for Leoncitos' tastes. They managed to push back a little bit. But those waves, it's still causing a problem. They need this Fire Giant at this point, Trelly. I mean, you've got 5 seconds for Tripno to come back. Your advantage is about to disappear.
No, I think you have to 50-50 this enhanced Fire Giant, which is a crazy call to make, but you have Phoenix or Fire Minions pushing into your Titan room pretty soon. You have to slam down left lane, and the only way you can do that is with this buff. You have no thought to worry about, but it looks like they're still looking for the fight.
Yeah, they're going forward. Hydrogen is the one who's in trouble this time around. Leoncitos aren't able to get and stick to him the way they want. Leon goes deep, and it's going to instead be Dragon isolated, locked down, killed off, and Leon, a distraction factored 1 for 1, and it's jungle for jungle. Tripno, final judgment, not available. Hydrogen, offline. The only thing available is something for Spreen to drop, and they're going for Snatty one more time. It feels like he just used that, but up onto the Somersault Cloud, and back down he comes. It's going to be a good disengage once again from Leoncitos. Fire Minions going into the Titan room as we speak. That damage is going to sit there. Backs coming out from Great Gentlemen. The Fire Giant is safe for now.
I am surprised they opted to back there. They knew someone had to go back to defend those minions. I honestly thought they would just go for the fire, pull there, wait for final judgment, and try to go for it. But it still seems like they're confident enough to say, hey, those fire minions are going to be pushing for a while. We could obviously just wait that out again until someone leaves and try our luck at another push. Spreen here does have 2 buffs, the blue buff and the speed buff on this Tiamat, able to use a little bit of that movement speed. Might help out here when trying to kite these abilities.
Now, I'm a little worried. Map state-wise, it looks like the Great Gentlemen are going to play this pretty much straight. Going into the Fire Giant pit, they started up, but there is a chance if they don't win a fight here right now. There's no ward over there on the left side, Phoenix. That's an easy way to get to the Titan room. Let's see if they can do it. Hey, guess what? Snatty gets low. Snatty up on the Somersault Cloud one more time. And of course, that clone going to chase around a little bit, just be a nuisance. The Great Gentlemen back off. With fire minions going in, Trelly, I see that left side, and I think maybe just leave the fire giant, let him take it, and go kill the Titan.
I really thought El Leon was going to just push that way, but he opted to go help his squad here. It looks like 2 members of Leoncitos went for the back here, and now the enhanced fire giant frenzy is popped.
Well, Suns come dropping down. Final Judgment is available in charge. There's going to be the ult from Hydrogen as he goes deep into the backline. Fire giant not leashed just yet. Hydrogen dealing the damage. Snoopy is still around, but nobody looks like they're going to be able to steal this. Great gentleman, get the fire giant. Snoopy is going to go down here unless he can do some magic, and he does jump away, but into the waiting arms of Sada Dragon. That's 3 60-second timers on the board for Leoncitos, and the great gentleman with an enhanced fire giant and fire minions in the base are going to run this one down mid, and some miracle from Spreen, they're going to knock out the Leoncitos, put themselves in the SCC. It's all but the formalities at this point.
Oh, they're running it down. They have the Draconic Transformation. I don't think they're going to need that Phoenix, and they don't care about it. This Titan is certainly going to drop.
They manage it. 37.5 minutes, 3 games. But your not final, next to last, penultimate team in the SCC, I forgot, there's another set after this, is going to be the Great Gentleman. A lot of veterans there on the Leoncitos that have been knocked out of the SCC, but a hard-won fight from the Great Gentleman, Trelly. And they get to walk forward here. A very, very entertaining game number 3. A very entertaining set, and we're going to break it down, look at the schedule, and then pivot into the last set of the day right after this. Well, the great gentlemen win this one, push us to 3, and they do so deservedly. They win themselves a spot in the SCC. 1 of 6, which 5 have now been filled up, and they do it the hard and long way at that point, Charlie. I mean, in Game 1, it is overwhelming in favor of Leoncitos. Very early on, they start that fight and win it. Game 2, it's a lot more even, and then eventually the Great Gentlemen get to pull ahead. This game, even when the Great Gentlemen were up 12K and had 2 Fire Giants behind them, it was still a little bit of a toss-up for some of those.
Yeah, I would say a great game, a very close game at the end of a very close set. Obviously, Great Gentlemen, they found their rhythm after that first game, you know, looking a little bit down. They had to find some things to tweak and some things to mix up, but once they did, looked very solid, but still a very hard-fought game. I mean, this was a perfect end to the losers bracket tail, going the whole way through and making sure to earn their spot in the NASCC.
Yeah, you have to think again about the path this team took. You got knocked down to the losers round real early on. I think the first one that I remember seeing in the bracket, and we'll get to see it a little bit later, but was a 3-game set for them, so like almost eliminated immediately. Then they got a 2-0 win. Of course, now they find themselves here at another 2-1 win. And that was what they needed to be able to get into the SCC. Excited to see what these guys have to offer for us throughout the year. But realistically, just hard fought. You've got a team like Leoncitos, which was very difficult, I think, to match up against. And there were a lot of times things didn't go their way. I mean, you know, we're jumping to some of these late highlights. There were a lot of 4-for-4s in this game. Yeah. Snatty, I have to give a lot of credit to, because there were moments where it felt like Leoncitos could at least pull some fights back in their favor. But Snatty was kind of like a one-man force wrecking ball rotating in. And that started to translate to others, right? It's like, okay, well, Snatty's still the guy getting into the back line, but he's a lightning rod, and all of a sudden Tripno and Hydrogen are like, cool, we get to play the game now. We get to do our damage without having to worry about it. Seda Dragon as well, 3 and 7, falls on a couple of swords just to make sure that his team can do well. I think just everybody from top to bottom, Snatty with very special asterisk discussion, got to play well this game.
Yeah, with how many 4-for-4s they really had there, where Snatty was the sole survivor, able to just pick up so much farm. I mean, look at that gold per minute. No one was even close. The damage numbers speak for themselves.
Yes.
I mean, if you can look at big number and understand it's big number, but that gold per minute is incredible. No one even in the 600s relatively. So this man was so far ahead so early, and that is how he was able to get these items online and just do huge things in the back line of Leoncitos.
I mean, that's like 85, something like that, gold per minute, higher than the next highest I can see, and the next highest is on his team, so he was trying to outfarm, of all people, Monster Bomber, and not the person that you expect to see second highest on the team anytime. So really, I think that goes to show the front line for Great Gentlemen putting in a lot of work here, and that translating pretty well to the back line, Tripno, as well as Hydrogen being able to get a lot of good damage out there. So congratulations to Great Gentlemen. I think a surprise and an upset here to be able to take this over Leoncitos and fill out the third set of the day. There's still going to be one more that is going on after this. But again, look at that bracket run, getting knocked out super early on. They get their 2-0 against Jazzy Jaguars, lose against the Vamps in a qualifier round, and then have to fight. It was 2-0, and then now the 2-1 here up against this team in Leoncitos. Funhavers, Jazzy Jaguars, going to still be fighting at it for the last spot remaining. That Jazzy Jaguars has had a long run, speaking of which, since they got knocked out by Great Gentlemen.
Yeah, the only team that's really put a longer run through this losers bracket has been the Jazzy Jaguars. Right after this, we'll get to see how that really goes, but just a great run from both of these teams. I can't wait to watch it. Great Gentlemen certainly earned their spot at the very least, so we'll get to see them later on after the SEC, but still, we have this to see.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see what this next set has to offer for us. Funhavers, Jazzy Jaguars, all that right after this.
Holy shit! It's Smite's birthday! I have to get everyone a card.
Oh, come on. Again? Tarot time!
card. Uh-oh.